amazing.
Welcome to a red-hot Las Vegas. It is weigh-in day for UFC 290. I'm Adam Catterall. Pleasure as always to be in your company, and a pleasure to be joined by these two at the UFC Apex. The one and only Mr. Nick Peet and the Hall of Famer himself, Mr. Michael Bisping.
I didn't get the memo.
I didn't get the memo.
Guys,
is it International Fight Week?
It's International Fight Week. It's a big deal. It's one of the biggest fight weeks in the history of sport. You thought it was dressed down casual Friday. You look like you're off down the bloody job centre. What's going on with you, Nick?
Well, we will be.
So will I. Oh my God. How you doing, mate?
Very well. Looking sharp. I like it, mate. You're representing.
Court case later, I think.
Exactly.
Listen, UFC 290 is going to be an absolute firecracker. We've got two fantastic title fights and contenders galore, all trying to make a big name for themselves in various weight divisions. As you can see right at the top there, the featherweight title bout between Alexander Volkanovski, back down at 145, taking on Yair Rodriguez. We've got Brandon Moreno up against a former foe in Alexander Pantoja in the flyweight division. Robert Whittaker takes on Du Plessis. Jalen Turner and Dan Hooker going at it in the lightweight division too. And Bo Nickal, record-breaking this for Bo Nickal because he is a minus 2,500 favourite, taking on Val Woodburn, kicking off that main card. Just on that record, I'm doing a little bit of research, and the previous record was minus 2,300, so it is statistically.
And who was that?
I'll tell you right now, I wrote it down. Romanov taking on Sherman last year.
I see, okay. Alexander Romanov.
Yes.
So in UK money, that's 25 to 1 on? Is that right?
He's 25 to 1 on favourite.
Yeah, okay. Wow.
Probably
phenomenal.
Accurate to be quite fair, because Val Woodburn, listen, respect, stepping up short notice, but Bo Nickal he's one of the biggest prospects. He's got the most hype around him. He's opened in the pay-per-view 2 times in a row. It's only his 5th professional fight, but the accolades that he has in wrestling is ridiculous.
We've got plenty of time to talk about him, and we will do later on. Let's get into that title fight, shall we? He's our main event in the featherweight division as Alexander Volkanovski defends once again. This time it is against Yair Rodriguez. And at 145, Alexander Volkanovski has been superb.
But listen, he's the pound for pound number one, even though he's coming off a defeat to Islam Makhachev, a razor close fight. Of course, he's the top dog, he's the champion at featherweight, and look at the people that he's beaten, the way that he beats him, and the kind of performances that he puts on. I mean, against Chang Sung Jung, what a vicious beatdown. Against Brian Ortega, he was caught. Look at that, drops Islam Makhachev, takes the back. He had a lot of success in that fight, and of course we all know about the third and final fight with Max Holloway. We see Maxi Baby there. I mean, he just separated himself from the rest of the group, and he continues to get better. That's what's so scary about him.
And he's got a big challenge ahead of him on Saturday night, Yair Rodriguez. Alex has said that he's the most dangerous competitor probably at 145, and it's because of that creative striking.
Exactly. You know, he's been a hot prospect for an awful long time, but he's paid his dues now. He's took his licks. You know, he's lost to Max Holloway, lost to Frankie Edgar, but he's learned from those fights. And just look at this, knockout of the year. He was losing this fight against Korean Zombie. He throws that upward elbow. This, of course, was out in Perth at the start of the year, taking on Josh Emmett. This was for the interim belt. This was the final eliminator, 2nd round submission. So he's got it all. Not only has he got the creative one-punch finish striking, but he's also got the submission game to match it as well. Here they are yesterday at the final media engagement, doing a bit of a head-to-head. As you can see, big height and reach advantage for Yair Rodriguez, but that's nothing new for Volkanovski. He's used to it. A little plaster on his cheek there, incidentally. He's got a little bit of a nick from training coming into this fight. Shouldn't be an issue. Hopefully not an issue, but listen, this is the UFC. There isn't room for 2 belts in one weight division. There can only be 1 champion.
No. And as we saw yesterday, a lot of respect I found between these two guys. There were a bit of needle between other fighters. We'll get to them in a minute, but a lot of respect between these two.
Yeah, and rightly so. I mean, they're both phenomenal fighters. You know, Yair Rodriguez already feels like he's the champion. I saw when you had that interview, you asked him that. I kind of disagree. It means you're the number 1 contender. But regardless, they've both got a lot of respect for one another. Listen, and Volkanovski needs to have respect because, he's great in every single way. But Yair Rodriguez is very difficult. He's very unpredictable and he's very dangerous. I mean, that performance he had last time against Josh Emmett, it was phenomenal. And what he did against Josh Emmett is the kind of game plan that he needs to replicate against Volkanovski. Yep. Utilize a lot of movement, circular. Don't stay in the pocket too long. Use the long range attacks. Flying knees, kick the body, kick the head, kick the calf, then dance around and move. And he can do that all day long. And of course, those flying knees, the spinning cartwheel kicks, you name it, he throws it. Look at that elbow in the last second against Chang Sung Jung. You know what I mean? That's what he's capable of, and that's what Volkanovski has to be careful of.
Interesting little point there on the stats. You saw the tail of tape, then it came up on the screen. Volkanovski's got the reach advantage by half an inch.
Crazy.
It is crazy when you look at the size of the two guys that are going to be competing.
Yeah, and he's got to utilise that, of course. I think there'll be a lot of leg kicks from Volkanovski as well. I think he'll try and slow Yair Rodriguez down so we can shoot on him, so we can get his hands on him, because that's when we see Volkanovski so often at his best. He sets a hot pace, but when he gets hold of you and gets you on the ground, beat the living daylights out of you.
Looking forward to that one. That's our main event. Co-main event, another title on the line. This time it's the flyweights. Brandon Moreno taking on Alexandre Pantoja. They've done it twice before. Pantoja's 2-0 up, but Moreno's a very different fighter now.
Completely different fighter. The second fight, or the first real fight in the UFC, was 2018. When you watch that, listen, Pantoja's still wild, aggressive, goes forward. He's the whole package, and I love watching him fight. But Moreno was a different guy. Of course, that's the fight that sent him packing out of the UFC for a little while. Now when you look at him, you look at the boxing, I mean, he's so much improved in each and every way. Last time out against Davison Figueiredo, hitting beautiful timed double leg takedowns. I mean, the man's a different animal. He's a different beast. This will be a different fight.
But the guy that's standing across from him has been there, done it before against him. He'll be taking a lot of confidence into this fight on Saturday night.
Yeah, because, it's all good. Mel Moreno's got so much better over, in the time that's moved. But Pantoja's got better as well, and very similar to Yair Rodriguez in the main events. Okay, he's lost a couple of fights. He's lost to Figueiredo. Took a couple of licks, but as you can see, this is their first fight. Okay, it was a long time ago, but he just completely out-pressured him. He was too good on that, too good on the feet. And his ground game is absolutely solid as well. As you can see, he's got one-punch knockout power. He's got phenomenal ground game, arguably even better than Moreno. And that's Moreno's biggest strength, is probably his ground game. So I think this matchup is absolutely fantastic. Championship fights in the UFC don't come much closer than this. This is a proper 50-50, and this was yesterday, the media day. Moreno had huge support, and he'll have huge support inside the T-Mobile on Saturday night, but Pantoja completely unfazed. That's the look of a man. Listen, I've beaten you twice, and I'll do it again.
He seemed a little bit vexed yesterday when all the Mexican fans were getting on him, but that's to be expected. It was very, very pro-Mexican, obviously, with Yair Rodriguez in the title fight as well. They were going wild for their guy, and their guy is obviously Brandon Moreno, as you can see there. When it comes to age, Pantoja, he's a little bit older, but the experience when it comes to the big, big fights, absolutely on the side of Brandon Moreno, and near enough neck and neck when it comes to their finish rates and how they go about doing it. Two guys that love it on the mat, but also have knockout power too. Didn't seem too phased yesterday, Pantoja. In fact, everything, it seemed to rile him up a touch when the fans were getting at him.
Yeah, well, it does. You know what I mean? Because when you're confident, like he is, when you've beaten the opponent twice, and when the guy that you've beaten's now the champion, you're like, oh, this is perfect. I've got this guy's number. I'm going to go out, I'm going to dominate. All you people that are booing right now, that just gives you motivation. So, yeah, of course, rightly so. I mean, it's a beautiful feeling to go into a fight knowing you've beaten the guy not once, because once, you never know. Twice, there's a pattern starting to form that you're the better guy. And all he's got to do is do what he did last two times. And yes, Brandon Moreno has improved, but so's Yair Rodriguez, and the pace that he puts on people. Pantoja, pardon me. The aggression he shows from the opening bell. Brandon Moreno needs to be on his guard. He needs to be aware from the opening second, because Pantoja is going to go right at him.
Pressure for Moreno, isn't there?
There is pressure on his shoulders because, there's a lot of momentum coming out to Mexico right now. The fans have turned out in force. The strip is absolutely packed with Mexican flags, and they truly believe this is the golden age. We talk about UK MMA all the time, of course, but they believe it's the golden age of Mexican MMA. They've already got a champion in Grasso, they've got a champion in Moreno, they're hoping to get another champion in Yair Rodriguez. But Moreno was kind of the first through the gate, wasn't he? He was the first guy from Mexico to win the belt, and I think he feels the responsibility to go, come and follow me. And when you're carrying the weight of a nation on your shoulders like that, it can bring undue pressure that you just don't need. Whereas Pantoja's coming in here fancy-free, loose and confident. Beat you before, I'll do it again.
Speak about weight of the nation. Dricus du Plessis all week has been speaking about carrying the weight of the South African hopes into his fight with Robert Whittaker. Big ramifications here in the middleweight division. We will start with the former champ though, shall we? Robert Whittaker. We saw him in Paris last year and he was absolutely brilliant against Marvin Vettori.
He always is. He's always brilliant. He's always getting better, and he's always just such a solid human being. We spoke to him this week and he's just, I like everything about this guy. I'm stealing your line, Nick. He might be my favourite fighter in the UFC right now. We were having this discussion last night. Just gets better and better. He's absolutely fierce in every facet of mixed martial arts. He has no weak areas. He's still only 32 years old. He's been to the top of the game. But Dricus du Plessis, I do believe he's outmatched. I do believe he's not as slick. He doesn't have the experience, but he has the intangibles. There's a reason why he wins fights. He's 19-2 with 18 finishes, 5-0 in the UFC, 4 finishes, and he goes out there and he's beating good competition. I mean, MMA math doesn't work, but look at the fight between Darren Till and Robert Whittaker.
Yeah.
I think du Plessis had an easier time.
Correct.
MMA math doesn't work, but still it can give you somewhat of a yardstick as to people's ability. Dricus du Plessis coming into this one a live dog.
Well, what he has got is resilience, isn't it? We see it time and time again on plenty of occasions. We've seen him in against elite opposition. You think to yourself, he's gone. He's out the fight. And then all of a sudden, he's turned it round and won.
Yeah, and that's what he does. He sets a pace and sets a pressure on people that empties their gas tanks, and he gambles on the fact that his gas tank is deeper and he wants it more. You can see how pumped up he is there. Rob Whittaker, cool as ice as always. But you know what this means to Dricus, you know, and he was one of the comments Whittaker came up with this week is that he's got nothing to lose. And Dricus said, no, I don't believe that. I've got everything to lose. And he puts that kind of pressure on himself to turn up. Technically, yeah, he's not the best in this division. In fact, Whittaker probably is technically the best all-round fighter in this division. But can he put Whittaker on the back foot enough to drain that gas tank in just 15 minutes? That's going to be tough.
But we got to say this though. Technically, he's not bad.
Oh,
you
no,
know what
no,
I mean?
he's not bad.
Yeah, no,
We're just
I know.
Robert,
It's like the way we're talking about him. It's like, oh, he's just a slugger. He's just a brawler with a puncher's chance. He's got good technique. The man can take people down.
Yeah.
Up against Derek Brunson last time. Brunson got him down early, but that's his entire game plan.
Yeah.
He managed to get back to his feet and stopped him at the end of the second round. The corner threw the towel in, and that was on the ground, doing ground and pound from top position.
Yeah.
He's very dangerous. He hits incredibly hard. There's a reason why he gets tired as well, because he's swinging with every single shot. Now he's had his nose repaired as well, because before he couldn't breathe through the nose. That causes you to gas a little quicker. So I think he's going to have a better gas tank. He's riding high on momentum. He's very, very confident. He feels like the bigger guy as well. He looks similar size to me. This is going to be an incredible fight.
Listen, it's going to be super entertaining. He always brings it, Dricus du Plessis, and a little bit of that added extra spice. Israel Adesanya is going to be in attendance watching these boys from cage side.
And listen, whoever comes through this fight is in pole position to fight Izzy in Australia a little bit later in the year. He needs an opponent to champion. You know, we'd love to see another fight with Robert Whittaker, as long as Robert's right. And Robert's for the first time now starting to say, you know what, I want Izzy, I want that fight back, and I'm ready for it. And of course, Izzy and Dricus have been going backwards and forwards. Whatever happens, I think we get the leading contender coming out of this fight, but that's because Robert Whittaker is the leading contender.
Yeah, listen. We're very short in time from getting underway at the Apex with the weigh-in, so make sure you stick with us for the next couple of hours. Hopefully the boys and girls hit those scales, there won't be any issues, and we'll get all our title fights and all the fights that you're extremely excited to see. A little bit of information for you, because you want to know how are you going to go about watching these fights. Make sure you come and join us for the prelims from 1 a.m. in the morning with that main card that we've just been speaking about getting going from 3. We've got about 2 minutes, so I just want to quickly touch upon Jalen Turner and Dan Hooker as well, because that again is an absolutely huge fight. Feels like a crossroads fight for Dan Hooker.
I understand why you say that. I think he's lost 4 out of his last 5, only to the elite in the divisions, in 2 divisions with Arnold Allen as well at featherweight. Then he comes back against Claudio Puelles, puts on a masterclass, beautiful striking. But look at Jalen Turner. Look at what this man is capable of. He's 6'3". He's absolutely massive for the weight class. So's Dan Hooker. What does that mean? 2 long, lengthy strikers. We're going to see a beautiful kickboxing match. You never know, when someone starts taking a beating, they might shoot a double leg takedown, but I don't see that happening. Dan Hooker, when he's on form, I mean, that fight that he lost against Dustin Poirier, one of the best fights you'll ever see. And Jalen Turner just seems to get better and better. I've known him for a while. He was an old training partner of mine. Helped me get ready for Luke Rockhold when I won the belt. Helped me train for Anderson Silva. And he was the perfect guy, because that's how good he is. If you need a guy to emulate Anderson Silva, Jalen Turner's one of the best.
That's not a bad status to have.
It just feels, for me, like you've just said before, about those elite guys that Dan's come across and he's just fallen short. Jalen's going the other way. Jalen feels like he's coming up the hill, and they feel like they're meeting somewhere in the middle.
Yes, but, you know, also Jalen, Dan Hooker's probably going to be the biggest name on his resume. That's the other way to look at it as well. So, you know, listen, Dan seems rejuvenated. You know, he's covered himself in tattoos. He's dyed his hair white or whatever, you know. He looks like a different guy. And that, sometimes psychologically it's like reinventing himself. Okay, I'm coming back to my natural weight division. I'm going to get some ink. I'm going to dye my hair. I'm going to do things differently. I'm not going to listen to the same music.
Sounds like a midlife crisis to me.
Well, it does. Yeah, he's probably bought a Porsche as well.
Yeah, exactly.
But he's going to try. What he's trying to do is reinvent himself at 155. And what a great place to start. And he gets an opportunity like this because he's Dan Hooker, and he's one of the best in the world still.
These guys, these girls are going to be joining us on the show throughout the course of the morning here from Las Vegas, so make sure you stick with us from that. And we will, of course, speak about Bo Nickal and Val Woodburn, who's getting an opportunity. Val was supposed to be involved in the Dana White's Contender Series in August. Obviously, the opponent for Nickal fell off, and he's been fast-tracked into the big show, and he doesn't get bigger than this, does it? Right, you can hear the dulcet tones of John Anik there in the background. He's ready to rock and roll, and that means there's fighters ready to step on these scales and go through the process of making weight. Let's see who's up first.
Oof, there he is, nice and early. That's what pound for pound champions do. They rock up first and let the world know this show's built around me. Still got the plaster on his cheek, so we're not actually going to see how bad that cut is probably until he steps inside the octagon on Saturday night. But back at 145, his natural weight class, just looks shredded, focused.
And that's called being a professional. First one to the stage, every single time pretty much.
44.5, the official weight for Alexander Volkanovski.
He's been great all week. There's a bounce around him. There's an energy around him.
He's the man.
He feels like he's in the prime of his life, and he wants to utilise it with the amount of activity that he's putting out there at the moment as well.
He's the man. You know what I mean? He's got a busy schedule. He's fighting the best people one after the other. He's calling big people out. He's got an amazing personality.
He's so relaxed, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's so laid back, Pantoja.
Which is crazy, because when he fights, he's a maniac.
He's a Will and Davis, yeah, he is.
No, he really is. He's like a Tasmanian devil.
Bang on. But again, as part of that relaxed nature, I know he's a cool individual anyway, Mike, but is part of that because in his heart of hearts, he's like, I've subbed this guy and I've beat him up with my hands as well. With the confidence that he's beat him twice.
Yeah, I just think it's his general demeanour as well. I've never seen a different look on his face, but you're right. You've beat him up and you've submitted him. Talking of submissions, here's Yair Rodriguez coming off the back of that beautiful triangle round 2 against Josh Emmett. That put him in this position. That's why he's the interim champion. A modified belt as well, done by some fancy artist in Mexico.
Beautiful.
Pretty cool.
Look how long he looks, compared to Volk, who we've just seen moments ago. He looks absolutely huge.
Well, that's one title fight in the books. That's definitely happening. The Featherweight Championship.
The thing
will
with
be on the
Yair
belt.
as well, he's had his losses, Mike. He lost to Max Holloway, he lost to Frankie Edgar, 2 former champions, and he's learned from that, and he's come back and he's the better fighter for it. That's real value in MMA. You need to suffer losses sometimes, ground you again, and let you know the work's still got to be done.
That's how you get better, Nick. That's how you learn. Talking about learning from losses, this man right here, riding high, flyweight champion of the world, 2 losses to his opponent. So he has a lot of things to learn. He has a lot of things to correct. He has a lot of data that he can go away and say, right, what did I do wrong in those first 2 fights? So in some ways, 125 on the money, he's in a very advantageous position. Because when you get beaten off someone twice, you are forced to sit down with your coaches and go, right, let's look at this. Let's study this. What was he doing? What did you do wrong? So they can work on that throughout the entirety of this camp. So I do expect a very smart, calculated approach from Moreno.
Yeah. 3 minutes into the weigh-ins, boys, and we've got 2 title fights confirmed. I love it. I love it. This guy is so talented. He's one of, I think, the 6 fighters under the age of 25 on this UFC 290 pay-per-view card here in the US. And this guy, Cameron Saban from South Africa, so talented. Obviously a teammate of Dricus du Plessis. They're really doing this together. And he's got a replacement opponent in Terence Mitchell. But the way he's looked so far, phenomenal talent in the bantamweight division. Here's his mate.
And there's his buddy. We were talking about Whittaker before. I'm such a fan of this man as well. I mean, number one, you have to love the way that he fights. But when you talk to him, he's just like Robert Whittaker. He's just a cool guy. He's just a nice guy. His energy when you're around him, he's authentic. He's genuine. He's in ridiculous shape right now.
Insane.
Did he turn up in his trunks? He didn't strip off.
If I look like that,
that was I was debating, do I show up in my trunks or a suit? I wasn't quite sure. I went with the suit. Kind of regret it now because I've got a 10-pack of beers.
Jimmy Crute, one of 5 Australians on this card. We talk about it being Mexican heavy and a lot of Mexican fans, but tell you what, this pay-per-view event is absolutely dominated by Aussie fighters.
Which is a sign of the growth of the sport down there.
Yeah.
They love it. And he looks phenomenal right now.
Yeah,
I mean, granted, they've all cut weight. They'll put a bit of water weight on shortly and lose a little bit of that definition, but still, phenomenal shape.
Former UFC middleweight champion, now number 2 ranked contender, Robert the Reaper.
Here he is everyone's favourite fighter. Sorry, Adam, putting words in your mouth there.
Who's your favourite fighter, Adam?
Come on,
Robert
Adam.
Whittaker.
Don't do that. Have a personality.
We all agree. There we go. Cool.
Wait for the chest bump. Is he going to do it? He's not going to do it.
Save it for the ceremonials.
No
later on.
longer my favourite fighter. Get out of here. Come on. Smirk at me.
Listen, I know he's got those losses too, is he? But for me, technically, the best all-round middleweight on the planet. And he feels like he wants that one back with Israel Adesanya now as well.
He started to talk about it publicly.
Correct.
Rather than fob the questions off, he's saying, yeah, man, I'm in. Absolutely.
Yasmin Jagiri. She's a phenomenal fighter, you know. She's not been in the UFC too long. 2 fights in the UFC so far. Undefeated in 10, 7 finishes. That's a lot of finishes in the female weight divisions. And only 24 years of age as well. Oh, and here's her opponent. Perfect. Denise Gomez. She's 23 years of age. Talk about the future of this weight division. 7-2 in her career. 5 finishes. Brazilian based here in Las Vegas. But this is a really good matchup. You know, not too many people will know who these ladies are yet, but they will in the future. And this is a smoker for Fight of the Night, I'm telling you.
Well, Nickal, I've commentated her fights quite a few times, so I have extensive info, but I've got to look it up.
It only lost in the UFC, Gomez, by the way, was when she stepped in at late notice. She can fight.
Whittaker on the scale.
Yeah.
First fight of the night.
155.5, the official weight for Whittaker.
Guy who made a bit of an inroad when on his UFC debut, of course, former LFA champion. Got a win over Makwan Amir Khani, and we know Makwan well. Very tough opponent.
UFC debut of the welterweight division, Josiah Harrell.
Got an opportunity here. Josiah called in last minute to replace Sean Brady.
Massive opportunity. Very tough fight.
Very.
I mean, you got to respect this man. You take these opportunities when they come because, listen, no doubt every fighter, you're trying to get in the UFC and sometimes the conditions aren't ideal. But I will say this, pre-UFC, you should always be training. Yeah. You should be trying to fight as regularly as possible. You should not be talking about training camps. You should go out, you should have a fight, have a few days off, and then straight back in the gym.
Don't get ready, stay ready.
Because you're earning your stripes, you're mastering your craft, you're getting better.
The guy's got an undefeated pro record, 7 fights, an undefeated amateur record, 6 fights. Combined, that's 13 fights. He's been around. Yep. He's got the best nickname in MMA, the Muscle Hamster.
Muscle Hamster.
Yeah, when opportunities come, you've got to take them. Tough as it may be. Likewise, Terence Mitchell,
another debutant,
who's coming in as a replacement opponent also on these early prelims. But again, these opportunities come up, you've got to jump on it. Replacing Christian Rodriguez is Mr. Mitchell. Coached by her father, who's a former pro boxer. Rattling through this.
I was just going to say we're flying
through.
Don't
we just love it when there's no heavyweights? It's brilliant.
No, I know. Who we got here? Vitor Petrino, or is it Marcin Pracino? Vitor.
Vitor Petrino, again, one of these guys, under 25, out of Brazil, undefeated in 8, 6 knockouts on there as well. Made his UFC debut back in March, and when I looked up that guy, when I watched his fight, one way to sum him up, he's raw, but it's pure violence.
Here he is, Dan the Hangman.
I like the look.
Yeah. I like him as a fighter.
You're not going for the Ash
blonde? The Eminem.
The Eminem, yeah.
Blonde Brunson, blonde Oliveira, blonde Dan Hooker. Might be onto something here. Hey, but listen, fair play to him.
Yeah.
He's found his mojo again. There's nothing like stopping someone like Claudio Puelles, who's a tough stylistic matchup. It was a contrast of styles. Got the job done. He was on quite the roll as well. Stopped him with kicks in the second round. Oh, here he is. I love this guy. So humble. So humble. He's not arrogant. He's not cocky. He just has very grounded belief in himself because he knows his skill set. He knows how good he is. He knows stylistically what he can do to almost anybody on planet Earth. Granted, there's wrestlers at higher weight classes at his level that would cause problems, but other than that, he can out-wrestle anybody on planet Earth.
Listen, 4 fights, 4 finishes. You know, it speaks for itself. Phenomenal.
Edgar Chairez.
Another one of these Mexicali fighters. Got a 10-4 record with all finishes as well. 4 knockouts, 6 submissions in there. He was due to make his debut next month. It's been brought forward to make this happen. This guy was a champion outside of the UFC. He knows how to win. But he's got a tough fight against Tayara.
A little 50 Cent.
Yeah.
The dance, I mean, the hand in the face. For those that can't see me doing a little dance.
Whilst the weigh-ins continue, we're going to bring in our first guest of the show. There you go. We've been joined by the Reaper. How are you, sir? You well?
Yeah, good, mate. Good.
How was it?
Yeah, same old.
About 10 pounds? What's that, about 5 kilos, something like that?
Nah, not even. No way. About 3 kilo?
Easy.
Try to keep it small.
Now, I asked you in the week, you bring all the gaming equipment out. Is that what happens now for the next 24 hours? You could just go and kick back, get in the big chair and beat people up online until you get to get in the cage?
That and pasta. The pasta, the garlic bread. The
mate, I'm starving. I had breakfast yet.
Don't even talk to me about starving. Don't you dare bring up stuff.
You don't look starving. Drickus and you guys, obviously, you know, he's a nice guy. You're a nice guy. How are you guys getting along? Have you exchanged any words? Have you bumped into each other?
Yeah, the friendly nod. The old
Yeah.
the thumbs up now and then.
So no drama.
Nah, it's like it's going to be an honourable fight. I look forward to a good, honest fight.
Yep.
We're just 2 guys that want to get it easy. You know what I mean?
Yep. Fair enough.
To get through each other first.
We kind of know what he's going to do, Rob. He's kind of, because that's what he always does. He flies out the traps. He tries to set a pace. He tries to drag people into a place they don't want to be. But your previous opponent in Paris had pretty much the same game plan, and you dealt with him quite comfortably, quite easily. Do you see a very similar style?
Mate, it's a big thing about how I conduct myself in the octagon is just about pushing my plan on them, just not letting them get any footing in the door. And I intend to do very much the same this fight coming. I've worked for months on taking a dogfight to him to see how he likes it. And I look forward to seeing how it all falls.
Obviously, you're planning on getting the job done on Saturday, and I know you don't want to look past him, but Sydney's coming up, it's round the corner. You get the job done, you do it in style. Are we calling out the champ? Are we asking for Izzy in Sydney?
Mate, if the body's able, I'm going to be fighting in Sydney. Yep. It's around the corner, may as well. Be in the area, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Listen, he's making you feel hungry, I can tell, mate. So go and get yourself replenished.
Fat joke. What is this?
I never said
Mate,
you
we're going to have a word. Like, I can do it. I can be self-deprecating.
Let this man go and rehydrate. Let him
I'm not keeping him here. You're the one yapping on.
I'll shut up then, Rob.
Just shut up and let him go.
See you, mate.
Hey, mate, all the best, Rob. You're the man.
Thanks, Rob.
Take it easy, buddy.
Rob Whittaker there, taking on Rodriguez du Plessis.
Did you notice how we all proper fanboyed down there? Oh yeah, Rob, we love you.
Steady on, Nick.
Taking on Rodriguez du Plessis at UFC 290. You can catch that on the main card, which gets underway from 3 on BT Sport. Been a good morning so far.
Have we slowed down?
We have slowed down a touch, just for people that have been tuning in a little bit late. Both title fights are in there. You've obviously seen Robert Whittaker come through. I know that he's a fan's favourite, so you'll be excited to know that he's made weight and ready to rock and roll. As is his opponent, Rodriguez du Plessis, has already come through on both title fights. I'll give you the exact weights. Alexander Volkanovski was the first on the scale this morning. 144.5 is what he hit. His opponent, very close after him, was Yair Rodriguez. He hit the limit of 145 as well. And then you have Brandon Moreno coming through at 125, and Pantoja also hit at 125. The first 4 fighters on the scales this morning was everybody involved in the big title fights.
Serious. And, and we can kick back now and relax. And, I know there was a backup fighter backstage just in case for those flyweights. He can relax now. We've got exactly
Are
what
you
we
allowed
wanted.
to reveal it? We're
Oh,
not allowed
Brandon
to reveal
Royval. It was backstage. He was ready to weigh in.
Oh,
just in
really?
case. Yes, he
Oh,
was.
no, nice.
He was here just in case, but
you
no
never
reason
know.
to see him on the scales now. But the good thing for Brandon Royval, incidentally, just on that point, is if your heater's back up, you're pretty much next.
Well, look at Colby Covington.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He was the backup fighter against Leon versus Kamaru too. And now, well, I don't know. It's not confirmed.
He seems like he's in
It
pole
looks,
position.
well, I mean, Dana said
said
on
that
the
he's next.
night
He said
that he's next.
Yeah, yeah.
Generally, I think there's a pattern forming there as well. If you're the backup fighter, you're the next guy.
Yeah. Right. Let's talk about some other stuff that's been going on this week, shall
Okay.
we? I actually want to do a little bit of special mention here because you might have seen this on social media last night. Wonderful news. Richard Shaw, Jack Shaw's dad. We know that he's been struggling with cancer for a good year now, and he announced last night on his social media that he's in remission and no longer requiring treatment for that illness. Great news. Put a massive smile on everybody's face this morning, Rich. So thank you so much for sharing that news with us, and well done you. Absolutely not giving up and battling through that horrendous disease. I'm sure you've inspired a lot of people with your attitude over the last year or so. Congratulations to you,
Yeah.
mate. Bit of a we'll keep the wholesome vibes going, seeing as that we've just had Robert and Richard's news there. How good was it to see Izzy and John Jones having a little bit of a playful tete-a-tete this week?
It was nice. It was great. It was very wholesome. But I'm also disappointed.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean? I mean, it is great. That's what we like to see. All sportsmanship, so fun and games when it's all said and done. The professional fighters, maybe they were going to fight, would have been a big opportunity for both men, especially when John Jones was at light heavyweight. They're only one weight class apart, you know, but now he's at heavyweight. That's never going to materialise. So there's no point continuing grudges. There's no point acting the fool and letting yourself down and misrepresenting yourselves. They're both legends. They're both champions. They're both some of the best to ever step foot in the UFC octagon. Here they are, having a little fun. You know, I can already tell when I look at that. Izzy's like, I've got you, bro. I'm faster. I'm quicker. I'm the better kickboxer. And Jones is like, I will grab those little stick legs and I will put you on your back-side.
How you doing, mate?
Talking of skinny guys right now, he just did the weight cut. How we doing, Dan?
Yeah, good. I hope I won't look like this tomorrow, but everything went to plan today.
I always want to know how many pounds was the hard cut this morning or last night.
Well, I don't know how to convert it to pounds, but we'll
right, kilos.
We'll go 8 kilos this week.
Whoa, that's like 17 and a half, 18 pounds.
Well, during the week. Like,
Oh, yeah, okay, from Monday, Tuesday.
Yeah.
Still a lot, though.
Yeah. I'd like to. Well, we work with the best, and I don't think it's as much as my opponent.
Okay, well, no, you're right.
He's a big lad.
He's
a
definitely
big
got a
lad.
wake up. Let me ask you, we were just talking about this. You've gone through quite the body transformation lately. We got the blonde hair, we got the M&M, we got the blonde Brunson, we got the tattoos. Do you know what I mean? We're having a little just reinventing of oneself.
Yeah, it just kind of happened.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
Wasn't a conscious thought, no. It just
It just kind of all come together. It wasn't really. Yeah, it wasn't too much.
It looks good,
planning.
man.
It's
Looks good.
Few impulsive decisions, and
There you go. You got to mix things up.
Yeah. I like the look. I'm getting a good reaction. I'm not getting-
be
not
honest,
getting-
Dan. Is it a bit of a midlife? Is it a Porsche at home as well? Or?
That's what. I think that's what that's what my mum said. So, she's been singing that song for a while now.
Let me ask you this. Jalen Turner had a little incident this week on the strip. Did you see that?
Yeah, DC showed it.
DC showed it to me.
at the production meeting. I'm sitting there, and he's just like, "Did you see this?" And he showed me Jalen just snatching his neck up.
Real quick, for those people that don't know, he was walking through the strip and like a YouTube prankster came up pretending to be on the phone and started talking a lot of trash. And in the end, Jalen just snapped and grabbed him by the throat and then he goes, it's a prank. What do you think about that? You know, I mean, that's kind of a, I'm not going to say odd behaviour, but I don't know what the term is, but fight week, you got bigger fish to fry. Would you have done the same thing, or would you just?
Nah, that
ignore
guy
him?
was crossing the line, man.
Oh, there we go.
Right over the shoulder, like way too close.
Yeah,
like,
you're right. He was in his face.
Yeah. It's like it's not as though he like came up to him and
So you
hit
heard it
him.
here first. Yeah. Don't get in Dan Hooker's face.
That's it.
Certainly fight week. Don't get in my face either.
Dan, just on the fight at the weekend, through the COVID times, difficult, especially from people from Australasia to do the training that they were needing to do to get around the world and obviously to compete. And we saw a few bumps in the road for yourself. How good was it to get back to what we would class as normal competition against Plessis?
1,000%, but it's not as though I attributed those losses or those difficult results purely to the COVID times. You know what I mean? Like if you were to come outside of the COVID times and been like, No, it was just the preparation in COVID times. I don't think I would have got any better. So I've been in the gym working on the holes, which were exposed during those times as well. So now it's like, now I get the full training. I feel like I've improved a lot inside the gym as well.
Well, just on that, I mean, I was looking at your record the other day because I don't need to tell you, there was a few losses, right? Mm-hmm. But it was the best people in the world, and I'm talking the top of the food chain. We're talking Dustin Poirier. That was one of the best fights I remember in my mind calling. It was incredible. Then we're talking who Islam Makhachev, who's now the champion. So I'm assuming, I mean, when you came down to Claudio Puey's level, which is no disrespect, just a little bit down from that, you stop him in the second round. I'm assuming you've learned so much from going in there with guys like that.
Oh, 1,000%. Well, you can see like what experience does. You can see it with the new Ultimate Fighter season. Like the guys coming out, like it's guys that have been through the UFC, been out of the UFC, and have come back, and you can see that they're just a level above. And I feel like I've been able to do that inside of the UFC. Like you can throughout my career, but there's been a lot of growth inside of the UFC growth, and then I go on a good run, and then the losses, and then there's the learning and the growth again, and I feel like I'm just about to go on another good run.
Talk to me about Jalen Turner, and more importantly, will anyone be shooting a takedown?
Oh, if I can.
Great answer.
Yeah. Like if I can, if I see it, if I can get a hold of him and get on top of him, 100% I will. But it's not.
Is that generally how you see this? I mean, yeah, if you can take advantage of that, you will. But predominantly, this will be a kickboxing fight on the feet because you're both sensational kickboxers. You're both tall and rangy for the division, and that's your strengths.
Yeah. Oh man, if it's wherever I find success. If
Correct.
I find success on the feet, I'd like to keep it there.
So I think you're saying that you're going to be shooting takedowns.
We'll see.
We'll see.
I might want him to think that I'm thinking shooting takedowns.
There you go. Because it opens
so then
things
he doesn't.
up.
You know what I mean?
I do.
I don't want to give it away. Come on, guys.
Right, I'll shut up.
Dan, top man. Listen, go and enjoy the day, and we're looking forward to see you do your thing tomorrow night.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Top man.
Cheers,
Dan Hooker there in action on that main card. Make sure you come and join us on BT Sport for it. He's taking on Jalen Turner in an absolute firecracker of a fight. Two guys in this division that know what a victory in Las Vegas will hold for them going forward.
Oh, there he is. It is the backup.
This was really interesting because 2 minutes ago, whilst we were talking to Dan Hooker, I saw Brandon Royval trying to get in the door just over Nick's shoulder. He was half naked, just walking around the car park, trying to get in the back door there to obviously weigh in. He looked like he had a little bit of a disappointed face on, as you would, because he's come here in the hope that something does fall off. But this is interesting.
Yeah, he's going right down to the undies.
If
or even going naked.
If he makes weight, he gets paid.
Yeah, of course, exactly. It's not a bad deal, you know what I mean? Because, I mean, listen, weight cuts are very strenuous. But every time you do a weight cut, you learn about the process a little bit more. Like towards the end of my career, my weight cuts were easier than ever. Still sucked, still hard work, still didn't enjoy them, but you understand how to do it and how your body responds. So, yeah, he's not going to get to fight. He gets paid. He's gone through.
He's made it.
Made weight.
One man that's obviously kept him out of a fight, he's stood just to our left-hand side. Can we bring him in? Let's bring in Alexander Edge. If he's available. There he is, Mr. Pantoja, come through. Yeah, come through. Obviously in the title fight tomorrow.
Hey guys.
We've just been having a discussion.
You speak English?
A little bit.
Fala português pouco.
Muito bem now.
Ah, see.
I like that.
Come on.
We were just discussing between ourselves. During the week, you are so relaxed, but when you fight, you are so aggressive. The comparisons between those two personalities, how do you manage that?
I think that's my best. When I feel calm, when I go to a cage, much better. You know, I can visualize everything. I found that point. You know, I don't need pressure. I don't need to put like something in my back. When I feel calm, everything is happening.
But you, with that said, you are, and I love it, one of the most aggressive fighters. As soon as the referee says fight, you go straight at your opponents. Have you always been like that? Were you like that when you were a kid? Were you like that on the regional scene before UFC? Is that just in you?
I'm from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Yep. I need the aggressive all the time. And now I have good coaches can control my aggressive. I think that's the point to go to the championship, you know. I found everything. I found the key. When I turn the key on, everything is happening.
Alex, your world title opportunity comes against the guy that you've beaten twice. Is this a dream scenario for you? Because you have his number.
This is nothing for me, you know. There's a different fighter now for the belt, you know. I think for Moreno is a good motivation. Fight with somebody, he beat him 2 times. But I'm a smart guy, you know. I know he's coming for make everything, put a razor in everything. But my time now, I don't care about Moreno, it's my time.
Do you feel in your mind, I mean, are you supremely confident? Because obviously you've beaten him twice, you know, and they were very convincing defeats. You know, they weren't close fights. In your mind, are you just so, you know you can beat this man?
Of course, I can beat him and all the guys from the division.
Yeah.
Yesterday, at the press day, lots of Mexican fans, but there was a group of children by us. Pantoja, Pantoja. Is this your family? This your children?
Yeah, it's my kids and Durinho kids too.
Nice.
Yeah, he's the best friends. I appreciate the friendship from Durinho. I learned a lot with him, and I passed a good time with him. And I don't come just to be a champion. I come to fight for the pound for pound. Mm-hmm. I'm ready for that.
Obviously, you come from one of the biggest and most successful gyms in the world. You've got a long background in martial arts. When you look at this fight, when you've studied the tape, when you've broken it down, what do you expect? What is your prediction? What do your coaches think is going to happen?
I'm expect the best Moreno, the prime Moreno. I'm training for the best guy, and I'm training for the champion, you know, because I want to be a champion. In my gym, like you say, America Top Team, I have a lot of challenges all day, you know. There's a Shark Tank. And sorry my friends, sorry my partners, I beat everybody in the gym. And I'm not gonna make like bad things. For my friends, for my friends from the gym, I need to be that guy, you know, because everybody helping me to this moment now. And I swear, Saturday I'm gonna be a champion.
What do you think he's gonna do different? Because you just have to do the same thing. What changes do you think he's gonna make?
I don't think nothing gonna change. I'm gonna win.
If I was coaching Moreno, I would say straight away use a lot of circular movement because you go at him straight away. I would say avoid the takedowns at all cost, you know, and a lot of movement. Do you agree, or does that not concern you?
The last fight, his run in the cage. I remember that his run, he's a real run in the cage. Now maybe he jump in the cage for a run. I swear now you can look me now good, but tomorrow is a different day. I'm gonna put some weight, and I come to Hunter.
What do you do for the rest of the day now? Are you a
Eat,
sleeper?
relax, enjoy with my family.
Perfect.
And tomorrow I have a big show. I'm very excited for that. I see my name in the banner. And that's it, champion time.
Churrascaria tonight?
No, just tomorrow.
What does it mean to you to bring another belt back to Brazil? Brazil, obviously, the sport was founded there. There's been so many legends and great champions, you know, but there's only, you know, it's not quite as represented as much these days. How important is it for you to be another Brazilian champion?
No have better person to do that. I'm ready for that, you know. I'm fight for a long time. All the guys from Brazil, all the fighters from Brazil know about me. Mm-hmm. And tomorrow world gonna know about me.
Can't wait for it.
I can't wait.
Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much.
All the best, Alex. Good luck.
Very good.
Take that, sir.
Thanks, Alex.
Beautiful stuff.
Take care.
Brumpet.
Take care, buddy. Take care. There you go. Alex Pantoja.
My guy.
Is
my
ready
guy.
to rock and roll. I didn't want to throw Nick
He's
under
my
the
guy.
bus there, but Nick did actually predict that at Pantoja by the end of
Whoa,
this year.
whoa. So did I. Oh, no. I predicted him to win this fight.
Yes,
Hey,
I predicted
Johnny
him to...
come lately.
Yeah.
Get off this train.
I predicted him to win the fight.
Shoot you, I'm driving that
Did
train.
I predict him to win the fight?
Predict him to be champion of the world.
Yeah, and if he wins, he becomes champion of the world.
And hopefully he gets injured and doesn't fight again this year. Keeps the belt.
But on the
Nick.
demeanour of the guy, like I
Yeah.
said, all week he's been so relaxed, so calm, so cool and collected. And you can see a bit of steel in his eyes. He knows he's ready to rock and roll.
That's a serious man right there,
Yeah.
with serious skills. I mean, one of the things that I like about him, not only his aggression and his ground game and all the rest of it, but when you go or when you throw anything at Pantoja,
Yeah.
he fires that right backhand instantly. It's like if you're at a traffic light and it's on red, it's automatic. When that goes green, you put the foot down on the accelerator. When he gets punched, that right hand just comes back.
Yep.
He's such a brilliant fighter. And then when you look at him, as you say, there's a calmness, there's a confidence because he knows what he's capable of. As he said, he was saying it respectfully. He trains with world-class people in his gym, and he's beating them all. And he's beaten this guy twice. So I don't think he's lying when he says I'm supremely confident, and he really expects to win this fight.
Yeah, I think that's also amplified by the fact that his family are here. He's got a young family, young kids. They're all here. They're all in Vegas. You do that when you realise this is my moment, and I want my children to be there when I have my moment and become a champion of the world.
One man that wants his moment. He stood just backstage there. We can bring him into the show right now. He had the biggest smile on his face at the top table yesterday, grinning from ear to ear. Val, welcome. How are you? You
Val
well?
Woodburn, how are we, brother?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Nice to meet you, Val.
Listen, I'm a little bit disappointed. Yesterday's get-up was absolutely sensational, man. You had the nice pink top, nice pink shorts. You've calmed it down for us today.
Oh, just for the weigh-in. I'm gonna pep it back up.
Yeah.
For the ceremonials later on, you're going to pimp it back
I'm
up.
gonna pimp it back up.
Talk to me about getting the call and obviously to step in
it
at
was-
this notice against both.
The call was crazy. I was actually just hanging out with my coach. We're about to eat dinner. We just sat down. We're about to drink some Coronas.
As you do.
And, yeah, and next thing you know,
You've been there.
huh?
Been there, done it a few times.
Next thing you know, my manager called me. He's like, "Hey, we have an opportunity for you for fighting Bo Nickal." I say, "Yeah, let's go." He's like, "Call your coach and see what he thinks about it first." Call my coach. He's like, "Look, man, we've been waiting so long. You're gonna have to fight somebody anyway. Just go." I said, "All right, let's go." 5 hours later, I was on the plane to Vegas.
Were you in the process of working towards the Contender Series?
Yes,
Is that
sir.
right?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually starting camp for my Contender Series.
Tell me a little bit about your background. Tell me about your wrestling that you've done, if any, your record and things like that, knockouts, wins, etc.
I'm currently 7-0. 5 wins by knockout, 2 by decisions. When it comes to the wrestling part, I never really wrestled in high school. I just picked it up as I started MMA.
Same.
Yeah,
That doesn't mean you're not going to be
yeah.
able to compete.
Yes, sir. So the rest, I don't really have a heavy wrestling background, but when it comes to MMA, I know how to do. I know what I'm doing. So,
It is.
This is a magnificent stage, Val, for you. Obviously, make your UFC debut. You know, they don't come any bigger than an international fight. Your T-Mobile is going to be absolutely packed to the rafters. It's the stuff dreams are made of. This is why you get up and run at 5 in the morning and everything else.
yes, sir.
What's the biggest crowd you've fought in front of so far in your career compared to this?
500 people.
I would say 500 to 1,000 people.
Yep. So let me ask you this. And I don't need to tell you this, because I'm not trying to
It's all
scare
good.
you.
It's okay.
You're going to walk out there. I mean, this is amazing, right? To be a part of the biggest promotion.
Yes,
It's
sir.
a massive step up from what you're used to. You're going to get picked up. You're going to go to the T-Mobile Arena. You're going to hear the crowd and the rumble of the crowd. You're going to hear them roaring. You're going to see people walking back and forth. You're going to see officials, people coming back covered in blood, beat up, all the rest of it. They're going to be like, Val Woodburn, we're going in 5 minutes. And you're going to get taped up and you're going to walk out and then you're going to go through that tunnel and there's going to be 20,000 people. And more than likely, most of them are cheering for Bo Nickal. Right?
Yes, sir.
I'm just trying to mentally prepare you.
Yes, sir.
I'm not trying to scare you.
No, it's okay.
Have you visualized this? Have you worked on this mentally in any way, shape, or form?
Absolutely. I've been to plenty of UFC events before I actually be on the show, so I know what it's like being in the crowd and stuff. So I'm already mentally prepared for that. I'm already prepared to block them out and all that stuff. My only mission is to go to the cage and put on a show for the world.
You know, if I can give you any advice, visualization is so strong. So when you get any moments to yourself and when you lay in bed, you know, when you're trying to take a nap, and funnily enough, the day before a fight, you struggle to nap, just picture yourself making that walk. Picture yourself going into the octagon, seeing Bruce Buffer, seeing Dana White there, because mentally, when you've been there before in your own mind, it's almost as good as actually doing it. You build up those neural pathways, and it's not going to shock you as much. So
Absolutely.
there's a little tip. I don't know.
Well,
sir.
just do your thing, man. You're undefeated as a pro. You're undefeated as an amateur. There is no blueprint to beat you. Go out there and just do you. That's
Yes,
all
sir.
I can say.
Absolutely.
And let me ask you this as well. I mean, you're a well-built guy. You look like you're pretty strong. I'm assuming you don't have a problem getting out-muscled in the gym and in your former fights, right?
Yeah, all my teammates. You got like Rodolfo. We got.
Oh, you trained with Rodolfo?
Yeah.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, so
that's not a bad training partner, is it?
Yeah, so having like a fighter.
What's the name of the gym again?
Fusion XL.
Fusion XL in Florida, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So having like a fighter with Bo Nickal with his caliber, like I feel like and Rodolfo's pressure is like compared to none. You know what I'm saying? So I'm used to that pressure, and I'm used to that grinding and stuff. So I mean, I'm ready to go. I'm excited.
And let me ask you though, I'm very interested because for those people that don't know, Rodolfo Vieira is one of the best grapplers on the planet right now. He's phenomenal. How do you do? How do you fare against him in the gym?
In the gym, I started off good, but I eventually faded when he gets on top of me.
Of course, but that is going to. I mean, there's no better person that could prepare you for what you're going to experience on Saturday night than someone like a Rodolfo Vieira.
Yes, sir.
Amazing.
What do you just finally? I'm sure you've seen the betting line. What have you made of it?
The betting, that's just their predictions, you know. Like I always tell them, that's just a prediction. An MMA fight is not scripted.
Yep.
He's going to be live, so you can predict all you want to predict. You're going to see the results after the 50 minutes or the, whatever time the fight takes to be over.
Let me tell you this, and I'm not saying this to blow my own trumpet. I was a 10-1 underdog. I took a fight on 2 weeks' notice against a guy that had already beaten me. No one gave me a chance. The entire world wrote me off, and I knocked him out in the first round.
Absolutely.
So you know what I mean? So. And it happens all the time, and that's the beautiful thing about mixed martial arts and combat sports in general. As you say, this ain't scripted. This is real life. So go out there, swing for the fences, give him hell, and all the best, my brother.
Thank you.
Good
Appreciate
luck,
it.
Good luck, Val. Nice one, mate.
Thank you.
Take care.
Cheers, Val.
Thank
All
you.
the best, Val.
Thank you.
If I truly mean that.
Michael.
Hey, likewise, man. Good luck. Good luck.
Seems a lovely kid.
Yeah,
lovely,
seems
man.
lovely.
Wonderful opportunity for him taking on Bo Nickal.
I just put the finger of God in his
No.
Listen,
You
that's probably
Civilization is
something
big
his
thing.
coaches have done with
you've got to
over the
you've got to
last few
mentally
weeks anyway.
prepare. You
Yeah.
do because going from the small hall circuit, going from 500 people
Yeah, yeah.
in a basketball court.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's
With-
not like he's had an Apex fight night build up.
and
We're
then
straight
you
in at
go
the deep
into
end.
that. You're going to walk in, and the whole experience, the whole vibe, being at the hotel, being picked up, being around all these people that
This,
you kind of see,
being on the
this
telly.
stuff here,
Yeah.
being at the Apex, it's intimidating. Of
course it
it's
is.
mentally intimidating. And you look at it because you got hopes and dreams, and fighters generally come from tough backgrounds. They always wanted to be here, and now they're here. They're almost in. They've got the toughest fight of their life. They're going out there in front of 25,000 people, and that can shrink a lot of people. We talk about gym fighters, world-class guys all over the world. When I go in gyms, they can't perform. I train with them in the gym. They're incredible, but they can't string a victory together to save their lives, because this is the most important tool. It's all well and good being in shape and having good skill, but if the mind isn't right, if you let that intimidate yourself, by the moment you're not going to perform. So that separates the men from the boys.
Should we speak to the guy that he's going to be facing? I think we should we?
I think we should.
We've just been speaking to Val Woodburn, a man that's been brought in on a last-minute opponent change for this guy. It is the one and only Mr. Bo Nickal. Bo, how are you, sir? You well?
Doing well. Made weight, so stress is over. Yeah,
A walk in the park, I'm sure.
no problem.
Done it many times. Listen, I know that you've seen the betting line. What is your thought process on it? Because something like that does put extra pressure on a person as they make the walk.
Yeah, I feel like it makes sense. The math definitely checks out when I think about the odds, and for me, it's not really a big concern. I'm just going out there to perform my best, and that's about it.
All your buddies disappointed because they can't make any money on you this weekend.
I've been getting text messages and stuff, hey, when's the line going to be reasonable on you and stuff. I'm like, I don't know, I think this one's pretty reasonable. Might want to just, get your cash up or something.
You're an incredibly hard worker, incredibly successful, but you're also extremely humble. I'm sure you got a tremendous amount of respect for Val Woodburn for stepping up short notice like this. We were just talking to him. I'm sure you know this because you'll know everything there is to know about wrestling. He doesn't have a wrestling background.
Right.
So what does that say to you? What is the thought process? What are your coaches saying?
Yeah, anytime I go into a fight, I'm obviously going to have a big wrestling advantage. In this fight, that's...
Regardless if they've been a wrestler.
Regardless,
exactly.
It doesn't really matter.
That's a good point.
I mean, I feel like for me personally, if I wanted to, step back into wrestling and compete in the Olympics in 2024, I'd have a great shot at a gold medal, right? And those are the best guys in the world that have been wrestling their entire lives. And so now I come into the UFC, and there's really nobody that I see that's in that scenario where they've had, 15, 20 years of experience. I have, and if you've never wrestled before, you're fighting me. I don't think that it's going to go super well. Just being honest.
Do you feel now, Bo, that we know that as fans, you know that? Do you feel there's an extra pressure on you now to go? Because we've seen this kind of with Ronda Rousey. She armbarred everybody, and then she went, right, I'm going to start beating people with my hands now. Is there a fear with yourself that people know I can out-wrestle you, so let's have a stand-up war? And do you feel that little bit of pressure to kind of show? Because I'm sure your wrestling speaks for itself, but I'm sure your entire game is, getting there now to be a fully rounded game.
It's really, for me, it's fun to learn all these new disciplines, and I treat every discipline, striking, jiu-jitsu, with the same respect and reverence that I do with wrestling. And I know my skills in these other disciplines aren't where my wrestling is, but by the time my career is over, I plan to be, able to compete at a world-class level in boxing and Muay Thai and jiu-jitsu in any martial art. And so it's just, for me, about time. I got to put as much time in as I can in the training room, and I got to put as much time as I can film study and being around the right people, and those things will come. But at the same time, I'm always going to have that wrestling base, and every single fighter that I fight is going to feel that.
Yeah.
When you speak to your manager and you talk about your career, and even when your manager maybe discusses it with the UFC, what is the what's the word I'm looking for? What is the kind of trajectory that you're on? I mean, at what point do you think you're going to start stepping up towards ranked people? How quickly do you think that will come?
Right. I think that if you look at where I'm at right now, I'm 4-0. I've been fighting professionally a little over a year, and I'm not in a rush.
Of course.
I'm 27 years old, so I can spend easily another 8 years in this sport, and that's conservative. And so for me, I'm not looking to push too far too fast, because my goal is to be the pound-for-pound #1 fighter in the world, UFC champion, defend my belt 10 times, and have a long time to do that. So I could see myself starting to get into ranked opponents possibly next year, and then moving up as we see fit. And of course the plan can change and it can be fluid, but for me it's, again, improving every single day and getting better every single day, and then I'll reach my goals.
And that's clearly very wise, smart, and the way you should approach it. However, the only thing that I can see that is going to force you, because people aren't going to want to take a fight.
I know.
Exactly.
People are going to turn you down. You're going to, and the only people that are willing, and even then, even ranked guys might be like, no way, I've been slogging away for 5 years to get to this point. I'm not sacrificing it for Bo Nickal.
Yeah, I mean, and with that being said, I'm okay to train for 6 months if I need to, right? Like, I have thousands and thousands of competition reps between wrestling. I don't have as many in fighting, obviously, but competing at a high level since I was a little kid. And so I don't feel like I need to fight 10 times a year, right? I mean, I fought a lot this past year, just beginning, but moving forward, maybe I fight twice a year, maybe I fight 3 times a year, and that's fine with me. I'm going to make all those developments in the training room. I think every camp I improved so much, and the development of the fight is really in the camp and in making weight and feeling the pressure and being in the spotlight. What happens in the fight is a formality. So my development is all in training.
Mike's just been talking about making that walk for the first time. Obviously your opponent's going to experience that at the weekend. You've done it. You stepped out the Apex. What is that like? It must be some buzz when that curtain comes back.
It's incredible. Doing that is really what I live for. That's one of the biggest reasons that I transitioned from wrestling to MMA. In wrestling in the Olympics, obviously everybody competes at a high level, but you don't get this atmosphere. And that's what I had in college wrestling, and that's what I really, like I was saying, I live for that. Those are where I feel like I shine the brightest and the most exciting moments of my life. I want to do that as much as I possibly can. And so anytime I get to do that, it's a huge opportunity. I'm going to make the most of it.
You've got an idea for his ring walk, haven't you? You want him to go full Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
I am a real American.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
It's actually so funny that you said that, because my manager was like, yo, you got to put this on for your walkout.
Do it, bro. Do it.
So this is the thing. I've been walking out to the same song. It's Hand to God by John Bellion since I was a sophomore in college.
Great song.
So I've been keeping it consistent, but maybe I'll get somebody to mash it up and put it together. So.
Talk to me about professional wrestling. Who was your favorite wrestler? I mean, who were you a big fan of as a kid?
Man, I loved professional wrestling growing up. I was always watching it. My favorite dude was Goldberg. I love the Goldberg spear. Yeah. The Goldberg spear. He was just so jacked.
No, sorry, not Mike Goldberg. What am I saying? He's the commentator.
Can you imagine
Bill Goldberg? I know,
Bill.
Bill. Mike Goldberg. Practically identical.
Yeah, but I love pro wrestling. It's so fun to watch. There's so many cool characters. Obviously, now there's a good bit of crossover with the companies and stuff. So maybe eventually then I'll dip my toes into pro wrestling as well.
But hold on. Listen, you're humble, you're nice, you're a hard worker, you're studious, you're never controversial. I mean, when you cross over to become a professional wrestler,
exactly.
What's the character gonna be?
What are you going for?
What are we going for?
The way you describe me right there, it seems like a guy that pretty much everybody can get behind and root for.
Well,
so
yeah.
I don't really got to be the villain. I feel like, I feel like I'm just a guy that everybody wants to win.
So you just be the good guy, the
Yeah.
opposite of the heel.
Yeah, I feel like I like that position. I like the kind of the heel, the guy that's coming up that everybody's afraid of. I'm like the hero that comes in and smashes them, and everybody wins. Everybody's excited.
The guardian angel.
I like it, man. Listen, Bo, enjoy the day, mate.
Thank you.
Enjoy the
guys.
day.
My
And
man.
we're looking forward to
All
seeing
the
you do
best.
your
Take
thing
care.
once
Lovely to
again.
meet you. Take care.
Bo Nickal in action, kicking off the main card against debutant Val Woodburn, who stepped in last minute. His pedigree on the mats, and just listening to him there, his attitude towards other disciplines as well. He's gonna go a very long way, isn't he?
When you speak to him, he's clearly very, very intelligent. He's measured. He knows where he's at. He knows why he's here. The accolades speak for themselves.
Yeah.
He has gone to the highest level in what is physically the toughest sport on planet Earth. And it's insane that he's been able to compete so much and not be riddled with injuries. I mean, the man is A-star, 5-star plus athlete, right? What these guys can do is phenomenal. The success that he's had, and then now you combine it with the submission ability on the ground, which is very high level at. I was watching his win last time over Jamie Pickett yesterday again, and he took him down early. He was trying for the rear naked choke, but then he transitioned to a head and arm, an arm triangle choke. The way that he did that was phenomenal. Right, it was very, very technical. He didn't completely let go and then go for something. He still kept an arm around the neck, and then he used his free arm to. It was nice. It was very good. It shows a high level understanding of submission on the ground, and of course he does, because his brain's formatted to wrestling. Wrestling, jiu-jitsu, it's the same stuff. They're just different moves. It's different skill set. It's still grappling.
We've got another guest coming up in a minute, but just before we bring in Jack Della Maddalena,
working.
Hey, what's going on here?
Well, we're still working.
We're still going. Don't worry.
Computer's kicking off in front of me. Just want to let you know that we're still waiting for Robbie Lawler, Esteban Ribovic, Shannon Ross, and Jalen Turner still to come through. Everybody else has come through. We've got title fights in the books. I'll give you a little bit more information on that, but I don't want to keep our man waiting as he's stood at the side just ready to come in. So let's bring in Jack Della Maddalena. He's in action this weekend against a replacement opponent. How are you, mate?
How are we doing, mate?
Good. Thanks for having me.
No, absolute pleasure for you to be joining us on the show. Now, obviously, there were a little bit of jeopardy maybe about a week, 10 days ago, where you thought to yourself, blooming heck, I've done all this camp and maybe I'm not going to get a fight. How delighted are you that they managed to find a replacement opponent and obviously keep you on this card this weekend?
Yeah, stoked to get the replacement. Obviously, it's quite a long way from Perth, so come all this way not to get an opponent would be pretty upsetting, but the UFC pulled through as they have for me before, so same job.
And it's a different opponent, but I'm assuming, as always, your strategy and approach will be the same. You're going to go out there and kill, destroy, but use that beautiful boxing. Right?
Yeah, that's
Nothing
it.
changes.
No, it's Brady was like, I would say, a short grappler, and I feel like I've got a short grappler, so the plan is to stick and move and get the finish.
The boxing is absolutely outstanding, Jack. Why MMA? Because your style would be you'd be incredibly successful in boxing. What made you go down the road of MMA rather than the boxing ring?
I like the small gloves, it's easier to dodge and it's more damaging, so
Yeah.
it's more from my style.
Yeah.
2 years ago, I think it was about 2 years ago, we saw you on the Contender. You were full of bags of potential right then and there, and then that potential has been fulfilled and then some. You're still continuing to get better. When you got the call to be on the Contender, when you came out here, I mean, did you envision this kind of success this quickly?
Yeah, I did. I believed I could do it.
Rightly so.
Yeah, I thought I had the skills, so I just went in Contender Series, gave it my best shot, and had a good three-round fight, and was ready to keep going.
Obviously, the UFC was just in Perth. I was down there. Great city, great people. You know what I mean? Just very nice, normal, working class people.
Yeah.
What's the support like for you these days in Perth?
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. There hasn't been too many Perth fighters come through the UFC, so I'm one of the first younger guys, so a lot of support, you know. And there's a lot of good fighters in Perth that I believe will be on the come up in the next few years.
Your 4 fights in now, UFC, all wins, all first rounds, 3 bonuses. Honestly, Jack, are you surprised how, I would say, easy you're finding it? Did you think the competition would be much tougher, or because you're just making this thing look easy?
Yeah, you know, I put a lot of work in, so I train hard, and I feel like my style will produce finishes. So I just go, like, when the bell goes, I go for it. I'm trying to get the finish. I think a finish is a good way to put a stamp on the fight, so that's what I go for.
And there's a major Aussie takeover at the moment in the MMA. Well, we're seeing it on this card at the weekend. Talk to me about the gym, being in that gym, that iron, sharpening the iron constantly, all competing against each other. Someone gets a wicked finish. Right, I'm next week, so I'm going to go again. How's that bringing the game on?
Yeah, well, that, like, everyone's trying to compete with each other in a friendly manner. Everyone wants each other to get better, but yeah, we're all going finishes, trying to get the bonus.
What's the trajectory now, Jack? Because, you know, it is disappointing you've got a replacement opponent here. The original opponent was a great opponent. Do you want to remake that matchup, that original matchup? Do you want a ranked opponent next?
Yeah. I think in a perfect world, this is just a little speed bump, and hopefully we can get that Sean Brady fight 10 weeks down the track in Sydney.
I like what he's done there. We're going to Sydney, man. Let's
Be
get
ready,
in there.
Sean.
Oh, no, you're fighting in Sydney anyway, regardless of whatever happens. But let me ask you this. Like, in the cage, you're ferocious, right? We're talking about how great you are. But you're a man of few words. Have you always been like this? You always been quiet, or is it kind of like, you know, it's all a bit new and a bit daunting? Are you like a loudmouth, obnoxious Bisping when the cameras aren't around? You know what I mean? Are you going to come out of your shell? Are you going to start effing and jeffing on the microphone? You know, you're going to start calling people out?
No, not really. I don't. I don't want to.
Ah,
I will call out Sean Brady. I think that's a fight that I think we've got unfinished business.
So you're going to say, hey, Sean Brady, Sydney.
Yeah, I think so. I think it makes sense. I think, there's unfinished business there.
Give him a little bit of stick when you do it, though. Say, if you can man up, don't pull out this time. You know, just have a little sarcastic joke. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just stir the pot a little bit.
Yeah, I will.
You know what I mean?
will.
Call him what he is. Pull out merchant.
Heard it here first.
I'm just trying to give you some tips.
Bisping 101 on how to make a fight. I like it. Listen, mate, enjoy the day.
Thanks,
have a
boys.
good rest and what have you, and
me.
we're looking forward to seeing you do your
Big
thing.
fan, Jack.
Thank you,
brother.
Have a
Take
good
care.
day.
Nice one.
Cheers.
Even the fist bump's like proper
know.
solid, isn't it? You know
Exactly,
what I mean?
yeah.
Took my fingers out there.
The top guy, we were weirdly enough, we had an open top bus ride through Las Vegas last night with Jack on the bus, and we having a bit of a crack with it then. But he is a quiet guy, and yet when he gets inside that octagon, he's ferocious.
Oh, mate, careful what you wish for. Do you know what I mean? Because it's always those quiet guys. If you're growing up, if you're a thug, if you're a bully at school or whatever, oh, this guy doesn't say anything, let's pick on him. Oh my word, do that at your peril if you were a kid at school with him. Yeah, I'm such a fan because of how he carries himself. He's just so humble and down to earth and just a normal dude. But the performances, as you said about the boxing, he could go to professional boxing.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure do phenomenally well there. You know, but I'm glad he's here in the UFC.
Absolutely. It's his footwork, isn't it? The way that he just manages that range.
Yeah, it is. Listen, his sense of distance, his fight IQ, the speed of his hands, the heaviness of his hands as well. You know, we joked last night, I'd like to know who did that to his nose, because whoever did that to Jack Della Maddalena's nose, that guy should be in the UFC.
I mean, that nose has taken some serious
It's a good
beatings,
one,
let's be honest. It's
that
flat
could be
as a pancake.
That could be his mother with a frying pan, that nose. That's how bad it is.
Definitely. If you've just joined us, what time are we? We've nearly completed an hour of the UFC 290 weigh-ins. I can tell you that we're still waiting for Robbie Lawler, Esteban Rivovic, Shannon Ross. No, Shannon Ross has just come through actually, Jalen Turner. So we're waiting for 3 fighters. A little earlier on, Alexander Volkanovski was the first on the scales, 144.5 pounds. Absolutely nailed it. His opponent, Yair Rodriguez, came through, hitting championship weight as well. And then the next two are Brandon Moreno and Alexandre Pantoja. Both came in at 125. First 4 fighters through this morning in the title fights. Done, dusted, rocking and rolling. And I know that you wanted to know about Robert Whittaker. He came through at just under 186, and Dricus du Plessis hit that 186 mark as well. All looking forward to this. Those prelims get going on BT Sport in the early hours of Sunday morning, 1 a.m. Come and join us for it with that main card from 3. Some other little bits and bats that I just wanted to bring up. Obviously, we've had the Hall of Fame inductions this week, and everybody was a little bit teary-eyed and celebratory of some fantastic careers and some fantastic things. I want to show you something, boys, right? Because we caught a little bit of that red carpet action last night at the T-Mobile Arena ahead of the Hall of Fame induction.
amazing for fighters to be here.
It's still surreal. It doesn't feel real at all. Like, it's just slowly starting to set in. Tonight's gonna be as real as it gets, you know?
It's a big night for Brazil. Aldo, Anderson, those are amazing. But, you know, for me, I get to induct some of my idols and compatriots, the Nogueira brothers.
There was always that wish, but I love and appreciate all the fans. Thank you so much for always keeping my name relevant and out there. So when it happened, no, it was a big surprise.
It's an amazing night, a celebration of our sport, and nice to have my annual catch-up with you on the red carpet for the Hall of Fame.
There is no one scarier in the octagon and kinder in real life than Jose Aldo. I mean, he did something impossible. He made an actual weight class in this organization. I really don't know if, you know, when that merger happened, if Jose Aldo wasn't the champion that he was, if they would have kept the division.
I just put Jose Aldo on this pedestal. Yeah, one of my favorite fighters of all time, if I can say that.
There you go, Caroline Pearce backstage interviewing the who's who at the Hall of Fame induction. And
did you come straight from there? Is that why you still got your garb on?
It's called style, mate. You know, I'm representing the UK.
There was a lot of emotion knocking about. A lot of people obviously delighted to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. I know that it's a thing that you're incredibly proud of yourself, but to see Jose Aldo's reaction to being inducted last night was a sight for sore eyes.
It really was. I was laid in bed this morning, having a little scroll on Instagram as you do as I'm having my coffee, and it popped up because I didn't go there last night because, you know, we got work nice and early. Yeah, to see him overcome with emotion like that, crying, you know, it's. I totally get it. I understood, and it took me back there immediately because, you know, you don't know when you start as a fighter, you don't know where this is going to go, right? Maybe you're not sure what you're going to do with your life, you know, and then if you're Jose Aldo, one of the greatest featherweights that ever lived, a true legend of the game, a guy that even when people like me, fighters like me, other champions all throughout the UFC, when you see Jose Aldo, it's like, whoa, yeah. you take your hat off, you know, because the man, you just with so much respect. So, but he knows that. But obviously, he does it for his own journey, his own path, his own family, to make a difference to his own life. And then now it all comes to an end, and you're there, you're getting celebrated, you're getting honoured by the biggest fight promotion on planet Earth. Then you've got all the people that were there in attendance that are all there for you, to celebrate you, to show that they respect and they have the utmost admiration for the sacrifice that you made throughout your career. Because there's a lot of dark days. There's a lot of times where, you know, your body's beat up. Maybe, you know, you lose a couple of fights and all the rest of it. Maybe you see some negative talk online, but then you go there and, as I say, you're honoured, you're respected, and the whole place is standing on the feet, giving you a standing ovation. It's hard not to become overcome with emotion.
Yeah, when that Rihanna tune kicked in last night, Run This Town, and he obviously burst into tears as he was making his walk. Just on Jose, because a lot of our maybe younger viewers remember one moment, and that moment does not define what Jose Aldo was. Let's give a little bit of a history lesson here, because without him, we might not have had a 145-pound division as quickly as we did. I've no doubt that we would have developed into that and got it eventually in the UFC, but because of his success,
of course,
that is why the UFC took over WEC and brought.
Well, it was a 10-year campaign. You know, it was a 10-year campaign as WBC featherweight champion. Then the UFC absorbed that promotion, which was for the smaller guys. Obviously, he came in, then became UFC champion. But this is mixed martial arts. It's not like he spent a decade cherry-picking his opponents like we see in other sports. This was him defending that belt for a decade against the very best of the best, and an entire generation of some of the best, featherweights that have walked the world. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you know, the Fabers of this world and everything else. It was just one after the other, complete conveyor belt. And it's a shame, really, he had the most high-profile moments when they did a world tour with McGregor, that the fight ended the way it did. And I'm sure, you know, in hindsight, should he have had the opportunity to go again? Yeah, probably. But Conor was on this incredible trajectory at the time.
I'm sure he wasn't too concerned when the checks came through, though, because those pay-per-view checks, they keep coming after months and months and months, and they would have been some fat checks. But just to talk about his career, I mean, he was so violent, he was so precise, he was so deadly. The low kicks, the leg kicks, I mean, he's the guy that inspired so many people to kick like Jose Aldo. I mean, what he did to the California kid, Uriah Faber, was, I felt for Uriah Faber. He just kicked the living Can I say
Daylights.
crap?
Daylights. We'll go with
Keep
daylights.
daylights out of it. The knockout over Chad Mendes, the takedown defense that he had, the black belt world-class jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
You put it all together, he had everything. And as you said, Nick, the string of contenders, one after the other, that he was taking out in absolute style. And yeah, it's almost fate, isn't it, that in the biggest high-profile matchup, he gets knocked out with the first shot. But still, as I said, you know,
and even
crying all the way to the bank.
Even in the Indian summer of his career, he was still pushing because he went down in weight.
Yeah.
He went down in weight and still was able to compete at the very highest level. And okay, he didn't pick up a belt in the bantamweight division, but he pushed himself. He took himself to new levels, even at 35,
And he took
36.
on the best guys.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, he had a title shot and he just came short.
And think of him over in Brazil as well. You know, he's inspiring an entire generation out in Brazil. We know he had a tough lifestyle. He's called Scarface for a reason. He burnt his face in a barbecue on the back streets of the favelas of Rio and all this kind of stuff. But he also put one of the biggest super gyms on the planet on the map as well at Nova União. You know, he was the standard bearer superstar from Nova União in Rio. So listen, there's not enough superlatives to describe the fighting style of Jose Aldo. It was just lovely that him, because you consider him a legend, he's a legend. Of course he's a legend. So his Hall of Fame was only a matter of time. But when he comes out and he's crying like a baby, that's when you go, wow. Because rather like Mike, when he started in his career, there was no UFC, there was no $1 million checks, there was no, pay-per-view events in Las Vegas. You were doing it to basically, because you couldn't do anything else. You were a fighter born and bred, and you were just going to see where this journey went. And for him to go from earning zero, sleeping on the gym floors, eating out of trash cans pretty much, to then becoming a multi-millionaire because of this sport, come on. How's that not romantic?
Yeah. Listen, we'll talk about Robbie as well, because he was at the Hall of Fame induction for his fight with Roy McDonald. We'll do that in a minute when Robbie hopefully weighs in, and maybe we might even get a chat with him. I want to talk about Cowboy, because there's been a bit of a debate between fans, and even DC brought this up, didn't he, about whether he should or whether he shouldn't. Longevity of career and level of opponent that you're consistently competing over a period of time. It was nice to see a man that hasn't picked up a title in his career be inducted into the Hall of Fame. That type of body of work being rewarded.
I don't think it's a prerequisite that you have to become a champion to get in the Hall of Fame, because if that's the case, then automatically if you win the belt, you're then a Hall of Famer. I think Hall of Fame is something different. I think it's making a mark on the sport.
Correct.
It's being remembered by fans. I mean, Donald Cerrone will always be remembered. There will always be a generation of UFC fans that, to the day they die, will remember Donald Cerrone. They will remember the action, the passion that he brought, the knockouts, everything that he provided, the excitement, the entertainment, and just the general attitude. And then you look at the body of work. Then you look at the amount of bonuses, the knockouts, the take on anyone, anywhere,
events.
anytime, the main events, the bonuses. You list it all down, you put it down. That's a Hall of Fame career. Granted, few losses towards the end. Guess what? That's why he's retired. Guess what? That's what happens in fight sports. People generally start to lose fights and then they retire. Your George St. Pierre's, your people that retire undefeated, they're very, very rare.
Yeah.
Listen, Cowboy epitomises what a fan favourite is. He was the guy that could go anywhere in the world, whether he was the main event or on the main card, and fans would buy tickets. He was a ticket driver. And also, listen, look at the way he managed his career. He took every fight that was offered to him. He probably never turned a fight down, regardless of who it was, what weight division or what part of the planet it was on. That's a pioneer. That's someone that's driving the sport forward. That's why he's a fan favourite. And this isn't a sport where, you need to protect your own. We want to see the best fight the best. He was willing to fight the best every single time. Win, lose or draw, he goes again. He's got that sport mentality, and I think for that reason, he absolutely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. He could have cherry-picked. He could have said, no, I want an eliminator. No, I want this guy. And he could have tried to manoeuvre himself to an easier route to a title shot, and he may well have won a title. But he wouldn't be the name he is. He wouldn't be Donald Cerrone, the Cowboy, and wouldn't be beloved the world over, because it was that attitude. That's why we loved him.
Yeah. I don't know if you caught this, but also just before the Hall of Fame ceremony, GSP was on stage. You just mentioned his name there, so it just triggered my thought process. In December, he's coming back and having a little bit of a grapple at the Invitational, isn't he?
That's right. I was having a little chat with him yesterday, so he'll be doing the Fight Pass Invitational. I was there yesterday. I was talking to him, and I didn't know this, but the guy that organises the Fight Pass Invitational was there, and I'm like, you know what, I might fancy this myself one day, George. Give me a reason to get back in shape. And the promoter's like, yeah. He's already been texting me.
He signed you up.
He's already signed me
you up for a fight.
I don't know if you know, I've got a broken back, I got one eye, I got no knees, and I got half a brain. But no, it's great to see George back. You know what I mean? Even if it's just in grappling.
Yeah.
And he said, that's what I want to do. He said, I want,
fun.
it's something to train for. It's a bit of fun. It's a challenge, obviously.
Yeah.
And it keeps you being a martial artist. You know, it's great.
It also gives an opportunity for fans to see him compete. Okay, not compete, but to the levels that they've maybe seen him in the past, but to buy a ticket, go along and watching George St. Pierre have a grapple today. We were discussing it a little bit last night, weren't we, about that you can actually set the rule sets for these invitationals and what have you, so we can take care of injuries and all that type of carry on. Yeah. But it's good, obviously, from him. He gets to train for something and compete, which is a key thing. But from a fan's point of view, we want to see our legends doing a little bit, don't we?
It's like Legends League football, isn't it? It's like when the old legends came up and play 7-a-side and they sell out 20,000 tickets and everything else. And listen, George has always been a martial artist, first and foremost. Before you describe him as a fighter, you say he's a martial artist. And everybody needs an outlet. And if he wants to compete, fantastic, man.
And but just one of the best guys you'll ever meet. As I say, I was at the Apex yesterday and he saw me and we both just started laughing our heads off because we have a really great relationship. Honestly, we talk all the time on the phone. We're always texting each other, even though, it seemed like we didn't like each other. It was just kind of promotion at the time. It was rivalry. Yep. But with George, honestly, we've had some amazing times since that fight. We went out one night in Manchester and it was non-stop laughs from start to finish. He's just an amazing human being.
But how good is that to hear from a fan's point of view about the athletes that they've followed all their lives? They think there's a little bit of needle. I mean, you've even got a half-decent relationship with Rocco to an extent.
It's all done and dusted.
Yeah.
It's over. It's sporting rivalry, If he's got he's the champion, he's got what I want. And also on top of that, when we're going to fight, he's trying to knock you out, So some people are very good at compartmentalising that. Others, like myself, aren't so much. I look at you as my enemy. I look at you as my rival. And until it's all said and done, I don't like you, But when it is done, and certainly when you're both retired, if you can't go up, shake hands, have a beer, have a laugh about it, reminisce on some of the old times, then you're missing some wonderful opportunities for great memories and long-lasting friendships.
Absolutely.
Was that an exclusive, by the way?
Are you doing a bit?
See you on the grappling mat?
I have not said that. It's a possibility.
Bisping's back, baby.
Got to ask the wife first.
No. Got to see the offer. How many zeros are we talking? Let's go.
If you are just joining us for the official weigh show here on BT Sport, we can tell you that the title fights are done, dusted. Everybody weighed in. No weight misses there. We are just waiting for
the icon,
Robbie Lawler. Esteban Ribovic and Jalen Turner.
Yeah.
We're told that he's currently. It says on my notes here that he's currently MIA. He's not in the building.
Jalen?
Yeah, we don't know where he is as of yet. Maybe he's just slept in.
Well, no, I doubt it. Listen, he's a very big man. He's 6'3". You see the size of him, and he's not the skinniest of people either, right? So
doesn't he?
He will have a very difficult weight cut. So the reason he's not in the building is probably because he's still at the host hotel or wherever he's cutting weight. He might be at the UFC Apex, God knows where it is. He's still suffering right now, trying to squeeze those last pounds out of his body.
You know him, mate. You know him well. Do you think he's not long for this weight division then? Do you think he'd have moved up if he hadn't have had the success he's had at lightweight? Because when you're winning, you get ranked. You're moving up the ranks. The pressure's kind of on then to keep going. Well, wait a minute, I should really move up, but I'm having real success here, so I don't want to walk away from it.
Off the top of my head, I'm not sure how old he is. He's not an old guy. He's still in his mid-20s, I think.
Yep.
Still kind of
28.
28, there you go. As he's getting older, it is going to be harder to make weight. And I think, because I was having a long conversation with Robert Whittaker on my YouTube channel, and he was talking about how it's so detrimental to do these enduring, massive, hard weight cuts. And I fully agree. I kind of made a mistake going down to 185. I think for Jalen Turner, of course, right now he's having a lot of success. He's one of the top lightweights on the planet. He's ranked. He's got a big fight. If he wins this, he'll probably keep doing that until, then he realises these weight cuts are really detracting from my performances. Go up to welterweight. He'll be stronger. He doesn't have to cut as much weight. He'll be able to recover better in training camps. And he can compete at welterweight.
And he'll still be one of the biggest guys.
Oh, yeah.
When he goes to welterweight, because he's so tall.
Well, we'll keep you across Jalen Turner's progress, and when he hits the building, we will let you know, and hopefully that won't be too far away. We've got about 50 minutes left of the weigh-in, and I mentioned there that we're still waiting for Robbie Lawler, legend who's checking out this weekend in a fight that we believe is really good matchmaking for both guys in this. There's an opportunity to see something very, very special in Robbie Lawler's last fight against Nico Price. Before we get into that fight, got a little bit of a tribute to Robbie Lawler for you right now. Oh, just highlights, is it? Just highlights. We'll play it then.
Adam,
we played it.
Adam, please. if you're gonna do this, do it well. Can I run the bathroom real quick? So there he is, Robbie Lawler. I mean, he was known for just phenomenal strike. I mean, he's a good wrestler. He's well-rounded. This fight here against Rory McDonald, one of the greatest that ever took place. I mean, these guys just went toe to toe. You know, I mean, he's been in there with everyone. That was his last fight against Nick Diaz last year. Back and forth war, clearly got the victory there. But then he showed, we got a little insight into his soul, because Robbie Lawler is a man of few words. But after him and Nick Diaz, who are both old school, legendary veterans of the game, they went to war, they threw down. Nick Diaz says, it's not my night. You know, kind of, called it a day, if you will. Not saying he retired, but he lost. And then afterwards, they're embracing, like a lot of fighters do. And we overheard, "Are you good?" He's like, "Yeah, but are you good in life?" You know, it shows the type of man that we're dealing with here. Gone out there trying to kill each other, but then straight away asking real questions, talking about his mental health, talking about where are things for you, how are you? Never mind the fighting stuff. How you doing, brother? You know, I think it just speaks volumes of the man.
Yeah, it's been a really interesting week with Robbie Lawler, because it is his last dance. We do know that he has been in this organisation for more than 2 decades and delivered some of the most magnificent moments. And of course, he reached the pinnacle of sport. Of course, he had his time as champion as well. Absolutely phenomenal. But he is a tough interview. He's a guy of few words, and he's a guy that, he just wants to throw down, man. He's not interested in doing the media obligations, everything else. He just wants to turn up, deliver his best inside that octagon, and go home with a paycheck. But this week he's been different. This week he's kind of embracing it. He's taken a moment to smell the flowers, because of course he's never going to do this again. And obviously the interview you did with him, the conversations he's had with media all week, he's really started to open up, and we've really got a sense of who Robbie Lawler is and what this sport has meant to him and meant to his family as well. And it's great to hear that he's not walking away. He's going to continue his work at his gym. He's got a little bit of ownership in Killcliff FC. So great that he's going to stay around the sport, because I tell you what, look at the welterweights coming out of Killcliff, the Ian Garys and the Shavkats of this world. You're telling me they can't learn from Robbie Lawler? Those two must be delighted that he's going to be in there. He is 24/7.
Yeah. The fight itself that was inducted into the Hall of Fame with Rory McDonald as well. We've got to give a little bit of praise for Rory. I know we're all in on Robbie with it being his last fight, but the part that Rory played in that particular night was just truly unbelievable.
Well, it always takes two to tango. If you're going to have a great fight, you're talking about something that was competitive. A great fight is not someone going out there and just obliterating their opponent. It's an even fight of two people with a refusal to be beaten, a refusal to quit, and just pushing through pain barriers, round after round after round, covered in blood, just leaving it all there in the octagon. Blood, sweat, and tears. And that is what we saw from these guys. You know, the state of the pair of them afterwards, the entertainment, the noise that the crowd was making, that everyone was losing their minds, because it is one of the greatest fights in UFC history.
Interesting to hear Robbie actually make the reference last night at the Hall of Fame that he was fighting for respect. That's what he seemed to be in that particular fight. When was that? 2016, yeah? So therefore, 2015, 2016, that time. So therefore, it's amazing that he felt himself that he hadn't got the respect up to that point.
Yeah, I think it was a cross-generational thing though as well. You know, Rory was the young guy out of Canada with all this momentum, and Robbie being the older statesman. I think that's maybe what he meant in terms of respect. But the fight itself is, it's just absolutely phenomenal, and it's not surprised. It's many people's favourite fight in the history of the UFC. And even when they're not fighting, even between rounds, when they're squaring up to each other still and staring each other down, it's absolutely inspiring stuff. And we say this a lot with great fights. He left a bit of himself in that octagon tonight. He left a piece of himself in the ring. Those two guys truly left a piece of themselves inside the octagon, because neither of them were ever the same ever since.
Well, the fight, there was 3 fights there back to back for Lawler, wasn't there? He did Hendricks, which was a Fight of the Year contender.
Phenomenal.
Then he did that one with McDonald, which was the Fight of the Year, and then he followed it with Carlos Condit.
Hold on. Here he is.
Insane. Rybovics, 11-1 in his career, taking on Kirk, of course. This is the curtain jerker on the card. Perfect record, 11 fights, 11 wins.
Let's just listen in, because this looks like it's been a struggle.
Can't touch the scales, son. Right, they're going to get the towel out.
Good, thanks.
He was supposed to fight Kamula Kirk on his debut back in March, and Kirk pulled out and he got a replacement opponent, suffered the first defeat of his career. So that one loss on Riverbix's record is kind of responsible with Kirk. So he'll want to make weight here. We don't want to see this fight fall off for a second time.
No, but it's touch and go right now.
He's praying.
156.
Oh, yes. Look.
Oh,
look at the
that
relief.
feeling, the relief, I'm telling you, because what you are faced with is the possibility of having, because listen, I'm telling you, sometimes when you have those hard weight cuts, it's not an exaggeration, I'm trying to choose my words carefully, but you do feel like you're about to die. You're pushing your body to the extreme brink, the extreme limits. You are dehydrating yourself to the max, and just people always go, oh, talk about food. You're not interested in food. You just want water. You feel faint. You feel dizzy. You are just so weak. And at that moment there, he's like, am I going to have to go back and continue with this process? Or do I get a nice cold drink? Do you know what I mean? Because right now on planet Earth, you could offer that man anything. He will take a nice cold drink over anything else. Women, food, money, anything. I'm telling you right now, give the man a drink. That's what we want. That's all he wants.
Hey, he's earned it now. He's weighed in. He's made weight. Fantastic.
And one for me, pal.
Yeah, exactly. Still waiting for Jalen Turner to come through.
He's the only one.
According to my list,
Robbie Lawler. I haven't seen Robbie Lawler yet.
Have we seen Robbie Lawler?
No. Not
No.
seen Robbie.
Ruthless of him.
They've marked it off on my board. He has not come
No,
through.
we're
I'm being
waiting for his
told.
moment.
We're waiting for
He's
Robbie
coming out
Lawler
last.
and
Listen, he's
Jalen
coming
Turner.
out last. All about Robbie.
Well, I don't know if you know this, but I've got somewhere to be. I've got ESPN duties.
Come on, Rob.
It's
hurry
tough
up,
at the
son.
top.
Yeah.
I've got to leave soon. Robbie, skedaddle. Let's go.
Yeah, whilst we're waiting for him, let's talk about some hypotheticals, because I had a little conversation with Dana White yesterday, and obviously you're trying to pry what you're going to be doing at UFC 293, what you're going to be doing at 294. We know that 291 and 292 stacked absolutely fantastic cards. So what's going to happen in Sydney, what's going to happen in Abu Dhabi? And Dana kind of alluded to the fact, well, can't really make those predictions yet because we don't know what's going to happen at the weekend. Insinuating that there's fighters on this card at the weekend that then will determine maybe main event slots or maybe some type of divisional direction off the back of what we see at the weekend. So let's play matchmaker, shall we?
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think we could get in Sydney, and what do you think we could get in Abu Dhabi, given the fact that some of these guys could do a quick turnaround?
Well, it doesn't relate to this card, but am I correct in thinking Taito Avasa's booked, right? He has a match. Is that correct? Do we know who that
I'm
is?
not sure, actually. I'm not sure whether he has, to be honest.
Okay. All right,
He'll be
never
on the
mind.
card, though, I would have thought, because it's
it's
his area.
I was going to say if Tom Aspinall is impressive in London,
London.
Oh, yeah,
in
that's
a couple of
interesting.
weeks, maybe Tom versus Taito Avasa. But,
In Sydney?
in Sydney. You know what I mean? Tom wants to be busy. That'd be great, but I think Ty does have a matchup. I'm
Okay.
just not sure who it is yet.
All right.
In fact, he does.
I think
I'm being vigorously nodded at over there in the background.
the clear one for this, he's fighting Alexander Volkov, by the way. The clear one for this, of course, is Bobby Knuckles, Robert Whittaker, and Dricus du Plessis. The winner of that fight, whoever gets his arm raised tomorrow night inside that octagon at T-Mobile,
Israel
is
Adesanya.
pole position for Israel Adesanya.
Yes.
Main event in Sydney down under. It was nice to hear Rob. Dricus, we know Dricus is clear. He chance of opportunity, he'll be there, whatever it is. But nice to hear Rob go, yeah, I'm interested in that fight. I want that fight, and body willing. That quick turnaround suits me as well. So I think that's the clear one off this card. And maybe Dana was thinking, listen, if Volkanovski does the business in the main event, why not do Islam 2 in Abu Dhabi? Why not give it on, Islam's kind of home turf in the Middle East where they tried it in Perth? The fight was close. I wouldn't complain about seeing the rematch. Maybe we see a quick turnaround there.
I get that, but I've got to then fight the corner of Charles Oliveira, because after his bounce back last time out, I thought he was absolutely fantastic. And should he not be the one that's in line to be taking on Islam Makhachev?
Listen, they want big fights in Abu Dhabi. I think Charles Oliveira versus Islam Makhachev is a gigantic fight. What's he going to do differently? How's he going to come back? How's he going to rebound? Did he have a bad night at the office, etc., etc. Also, I want to see Volkanovski. If he is victorious this weekend, then he's got a very tough fight. I want to see him face Ilia Topuria. They both have, Islam and Volkanovski have their respective divisions. They just did it last time out. I mean, listen, if they make the fight, I'll be watching. Simple as that, and I'll be happy to see it. But I would also like to see some of the other contenders get a crack of the whip as well.
That's interesting then. So what if Volk does it in style this weekend. Is it not Islam? Is it Tapora in Sydney and a double title fight main event?
Yeah, maybe that.
With potentially Robert Whittaker or Du Plessis against Islam Adesanya, and main event, Volkanovski versus Tapora.
Listen, the reality is, from what we're saying here in Sydney, because we're talking Taito Avasa, we're talking Volkanovski, we're talking Israel Adesanya, we're talking Robert Whittaker, we're talking Jack Della Maddalena. The list goes on, and they're all top tier fighters. They've all got exciting styles, and they've all got potentially fantastic opponents. That fight card in Sydney is going to be ridiculous. I'm telling you, the Australians are slyly taking over this sport. You know what I mean? They're really having their moment in the sun. It used to be the Brazilians, then it was the Americans, then the Russians had their time. But now it's the land of down under. They're taking over this thing.
The Mexicans are having a little go as well.
Mexicans are having a go as well.
Yeah, we're not doing too badly ourselves. Come on.
100%.
Absolutely.
Looking ahead to that, UFC London in a couple of weeks' time. How good would it be to see Tom Aspinall back finally after a year out with that bad knee injury?
Listen, he was with us obviously on the desk in March when we in London. Then we've all spent some time with him personally recently. He's absolutely massive. He's physically ready. He's mentally more ready than he's ever been before. I love the fact he's aggressively saying, "Big win in London. Then I want something else. Then I want something else." He's going after the belt now. And that's a real change in the mentality from Tom Aspinall. But listen, it was heartbreaking to see what happened against Curtis Blades. You know, no one could have predicted that. First shot that eased him through was a body kick. Tom's knee blows out. It was a tough year away, but I think it's a year away that's actually made Tom Aspinall.
It's so great to just see him back. If I'm honest, I'll never forget when I walked in the octagon to interview Curtis Blades. Obviously I was commentating, you've got to interview the winner. Sometimes the main event as well if it's a close fight. I'll never forget walking in, and I'm friends with Tom, and he's a big man, lead on the floor, right? And I'm walking past him with my microphone like this, looking down, and he's howling in agony, almost bawling his eyes out, just in pure agony. And I'm like, you know, like, because you feel for these guys, you build relationships with them, not just the English guys that I'm friends with, but all of them. I've got friends from all over the sport, and you know them as people, not just as the fighter. They have their family men, they have children, they have wives. You know, and you walk in, you see someone like that, and again, because he is such a big physical specimen, lying on the floor just howling in agony. I'm like, I felt for him. I really did. Now to see him back, better than ever, feeling mentally and physically better than ever, it's beautiful.
I know it's not the ideal situation as to how he's arrived at that point, but you made the point a couple of times this week about where he's at mentally. He felt previously that he was apologising for being so good.
Yeah.
Like he was apologetic that he wanted to become the UFC champion. Now he's making no apologies whatsoever.
Oh, now the wheels are off. Now he's like, I know how good I am, and I'm going to show the world now. And I want John Jones, and if John Jones isn't around, whoever's got the belt, I want that guy. And that mentality shift has changed, and it takes him from being a guy that's kind of building up momentum in the UK to a genuine threat on a global scale. And what Mike said about the Sydney show, I think Tom just wants to stay busy. You know, I think it's like, yeah, okay, I'll do London, and if you want me to go to Sydney, I'll go to Sydney. Whatever gets him to the belt in the quickest route possible. I think sometimes when you have an injury like that, and the first few weeks, it's always going to be touch and go. Will I recover? How will the surgery go? Can I ever fight again? When you come through that, you're like, I'm not taking this career for granted anymore. I'm going to pull the trigger because I'm good enough.
And then also on top of that, when you're away for a year, you're not earning. You know, I mean, he's in the prime of his life, the prime of his career, the prime of his earning potential. You know, so if he goes through marching Tybora like he has done all these other people without any kind of injury, without taking any damage, why wouldn't you want to get straight back in there, keep the momentum rolling, show the world who you are, remind them all that Tom Aspinall's back, and also keep paying those massive checks in on a Monday morning?
Massive opportunity as well for Marcin Tybura to really punch his ticket in the heavyweight division against Tom Aspinall, because we don't know if he's 100%, and if he has slipped a touch, Tybura's in, and it could be an absolute cracker at the main event at the O2. Co-main event as well has got big ramifications as well for Molly, because we saw her have a wonderful year up to the Madison Square Garden, and then she falls short against Erin Blanchfield. We know it hit her hard, and this is her first one back since that defeat.
Yeah, and you know what? she's been kind of rewarded with a co-main event. She's never been co-main event before. Now, this is a girl that the conversation around Molly used to be, when is she ever going to be on a main card? Now she's straight into a co-main event slot, and we know what Molly brings. She brings tons of energy. She brings a real, the audience is always packed. There's always loads of girls when Molly's on. It's a different kind of buzz that's going around. She has the dance music blaring. She gets in there. She's a bundle of energy. She's a made-for-TV fighter, let's be honest. And I don't think that Blanchard, as difficult as that defeat was when it happened, I think now she's put it in the right place in her mind to go, okay, well, that girl's on her route to a title shot. And maybe she's a little bit further forward than me. Even though she's younger, she's a bit further forward. But I know what direction I'm going in. And Molly is getting better with every fight.
That fight will not matter one little bit, because there's two types of fights, right? Well, even when you're training, you can go out there and you get submitted every day in training, okay? Yeah. You can go into a fight, you can get beat from pillar to post. You can have 7 shades of blood knocked out of you, right? And it'll change you as a fighter, especially if that ends with a brutal knockout.
Yeah.
Then you come back, maybe you're a shell of your former self. You've got skeletons in the closet. You've got psychological demons, right? When you go out there, you get taken down by a jiu-jitsu specialist and they get you in a little submission. You got to go tap. You go, they got me. It happens every day in training. There's no mental scarring from that fight whatsoever. She's going to come out and be the exact same Molly McCann. And Julia Stolarenko.
Nice.
She better be ready, because Molly brings it.
Yeah, she better be ready, because it's her flyweight debut as well. So there's a little bit of
coming
pressure.
Down in weight.
She's coming down to flyweight for the very first time. Bit of pressure there. But listen, Molly can't think about that. No. All Molly's got to think of, last 2 occasions I fought at the O2, I scored 2 spinning elbow knockouts, both of which
she's going for a third.
For knockouts.
She's doing it. She's going for a third.
It's Molly's home turf.
Yeah. Listen, you just mentioned coming down in weight for Stoliarenko, coming down in weight for Paul Craig as well.
Paul Craig.
He's making the run up middleweight now.
Yeah. And listen, a tough guy to make your debut against at middleweight. It's a guy that kind of, in Andre Muniz, that kind of has similar strengths as him. But Paul Craig did some incredible things. I mean, he was on quite the run. We were talking about him fighting for a title at one point. Yeah. He lost his last couple to very, very high level competition. So no shame there. I'm really excited to see him down there. He's massive for the weight class. I mean, he always looked in good shape. Now he looks phenomenal. So yeah, an exciting fight, and that is a very competitive fight.
Just in case you are just joining us, I know we're talking about UFC London. It's because there's a little bit of a lull in the action as we are at weighing there for UFC 290. Just waiting for Robbie Lawler. It's his last one, his last weight cut. Waiting for him to hit the scales, and we're also waiting for Jalen Turner to hit the scales as well. Everybody else has come through. Your title fights are in the books. They're all rehydrating and ready to bring you some action on BT Sport in the early hours of Sunday morning. Prelims get going from 1 with that main card from 3. Worrying times. How long we got left? Just half an hour or so.
Sadly, in a moment, guys, and I do apologise to the viewers as well, might be an improvement for you, but I have ESPN duties, so it's not my fault Robbie Lawler's milking the moment. Do you know what I mean? We should have been done by now. So I will have to politely bow out, but, I'll be back.
All right, then. Before you go, then, got a question for you.
Please, go ahead.
Now, I'm putting this on your toes, so there's a lot of fights to consider here.
Yep.
What has been booked so far between now and the end of the year? Give me one fight that you're really looking forward to.
Ooh.
There's one. Do you want me to kick this off?
Yeah. Go ahead.
The one that
well, it's Justin versus Dustin. That comes to mind.
Okay. Correct. You only have one.
Pereira versus Blachowicz.
You've nicked mine. That's the one for me. I want to know what Pereira's going to do at light heavyweight, because if he can come through Jan, then all of a sudden we've got some fire on our hands.
I'm just going to tell you, Jan Blachowicz took down Israel Adesanya.
I agree.
The game plan will be the same. The takedown defense of Pereira isn't as good.
I agree.
I'm a big fan of Pereira and I like the way he fights, but if you want to put some money on a man and make some money, put it on Jan Blachowicz to win by submission.
Yeah, but listen, that's what everybody expects. That's what, again, MMA math suggests he'll take him down, he'll get the top game, Pereira won't be able to get him off. That's what Pereira's doing every single day with Glover Teixeira. That's all they drill every single day. And if he can keep the fight standing with his speed, we know he's got the frame for the weight division. We know middleweight absolutely killed him to make 185. I think he could be a real beast up there, And what if he smokes Jan Blachowicz? What does that mean for the division?
Well, then he fights for the belt.
Yeah, of course.
Never mind Yuri Prohaska, we're waiting on the comeback. It might be Jan going up against
for the title again against
Jamal Hill.
Yeah. We've got another guest who's just about to join us. We'll bring in Nico Price, shall
Well,
we?
then at that point, I'll allow you guys to speak to Nico. Pleasure. Thank you very much. I will see you shortly, but I've got a duty calls, guys. Sir,
Bring him in.
enjoy
Bring
the
him
rest
in.
of your show, and I shall see you momentarily. But at this moment, a good step away, darling.
There you go.
Cheerio. Nico.
What's up, man?
How are you, sir?
How you doing,
Great
sir?
to see you.
Great to see you,
Good
too.
luck this weekend against a legend. You're a legend yourself.
Thank you, thank you.
I'm going to politely bow out now.
Yes, sir.
Nico, how are you, mate?
Good, how you doing,
Very,
sir?
very well indeed, my man. Very well
How you
indeed.
doing, brother?
Yeah, man, good to see you.
How thrilled are you, obviously, one, being on this card, two, you mentioned it at the press conference yesterday, the opportunity to stand across and fight Robbie Lawler, a legend
Oh,
of the game.
100%.
Because from a fight fan's point of view, it's an absolute barnstormer that we're looking forward to. And you're the
man.
feature prelim, man. Everybody's buzzing for it.
Everybody watches the feature prelim. You know, like, I'm just stoked to be on the card. I'm stoked that it's actually a free fight. My friends don't have to buy it all. You know, but you know, just keeping it real for my fam. You know, save a couple dollars, but don't worry, I'm bringing in the crowd anyway. Because after you watch me and Rob fight, you're gonna want to watch every fight on the main card because the main card's banging too.
Absolutely. Where's your headspace at? Because there's obviously a lot of focus on Robbie because he's calling time, going into the Hall of Fame and all that type of stuff. How have you been able to compartmentalise the fight itself and not fight the occasion, but you're fighting the opponent, if that makes sense?
Yeah, no. I got a lot of focus on Robbie too. You know, he's my opponent, so I've been studying him. I'm just ready. I know where he's good. I know where I feel like I can implement myself.
Yeah.
And get in there and get the job done. You know, I'm stoked that I'm getting to fight Robbie Lawler. I've been talking about it since I was 18.
Well, he's on the scale now. He's about to hit the
Yeah,
scale.
go Rob.
There you go. This is what we want. Hit the weight, and then we can get a fight on. Let's see where he's at.
Oh, he's a vet, man. He's gonna make weight, no problem. That's my man.
There you go. There you go.
We'll be there tomorrow.
Exactly. when this call came in, Nico, did you, obviously the same weight division, you guys have been around the game a long time, you're probably thinking, well, it's what unusual, me and Robbie haven't been matched before. But when the call comes in, because you know he's coming to the end of his career, was it like, yes, I get Robbie Lawler before he walks away?
Finally, that's what I was.
Stylistically, it's a good matchup for you.
Oh, heck yeah.
You know how we fight. You fight the same way.
Yeah,
It's
we're
fun.
gonna go in there. We're gonna swing hands. You know, like it's gonna be a blessing. I'm just glory to God. I'm excited to get in there and fight Rob.
Yeah.
I've been talking to my friend since I was 18 years old to be like, yo, what if we get to fight Rob one day? And then like it came through in the emails, and I was like, oh, it's here. Let's go. You know.
When you get in the octagon and the cage door closes and you look across, will you see Rob? Or is it just another fighter then? Or are you going to be like, oh yeah, it's Robbie Lawler, this is going to be fun?
Oh yeah, I already said it when we shook hands at the, what was it, yesterday.
The media
I was
day.
like, this is going to be awesome. You know, I shook his hands, this is going to be awesome. Then we hugged, then we walked away. But yeah, it's just, I'm stoked.
What do you like between now? You've made weight, everything's done. That's the big tick. What do you do now between now and fight
I
night?
drink a lot of fluids, then I'm gonna eat a lot of carbs, carb up, get the energy for tomorrow, and then just keep loading and loading and loading until I can let it all go.
Do you do anything to take your mind off it? We've been speaking to some fighters who bring the games consoles and all these types of things. You're not that guy.
No, I just chill with my squad. You know, we'll go walk around a little bit. I'll take a couple naps, and then before you know it, we're walking to the cage.
Will you discuss the fight anymore between now and, before you get to the arena, say, where you watch a bit of tape, will it just keep reaffirming what your game plan is? Will that continue now over the next 24 hours?
Of course. Yeah, you always got to reassure what we're going to do when we get in there, you know? And with him, I'm going to get in there and fight him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nico.
How do you keep the excitement down? Because this is an exciting one. The fans at home know this is going to be an exciting fight. You can tell right now you're excited for it.
100%. And I have energy again, so I'm like, yes! You know, like...
How do you control that, though? It is important to try and control it, isn't it?
Just put it in this little bubble. And then when I get in there, I just open it.
Amazing.
You know?
Listen.
Like a jack in the box.
We're looking forward to it, man. Listen, enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you so much.
And we're looking forward to seeing you
Nico.
fight.
Thank you guys so much.
See you tomorrow.
Whack that down there and go and get yourself rehydrated fully, my friend.
The most excited man in the room.
Absolutely. Nico Price there taking on Robbie Lawler as the featured prelim. prelims get underway from 1 a.m. in the early hours of Sunday morning. Look at him, he's bouncing. He's absolutely just bounced out the room, full of energy. That's a gig. You think to yourself, right, okay, I'm fighting Robbie Lawler. You know you're in for a hard night. You know it's a hard night's work. You know you're going to get cracked a couple of times. But he's absolutely drinking it all in, isn't he?
Loving it. Because he knows he's, yes, it's his own career, it's his own legacy, but he gets an opportunity to make a little stamp on a Hall of Fame legacy as well. And I think that's why Nico is so excited. Listen, Nico's a great fighter. He's never been in a dull fight, but he would confess himself it hasn't all been sunshine and rainbows. He's hit some speed bumps along the way. He struggled really to chain 2 or 3 wins together. These are the kind of fights that he lives for. And he's probably, he's 33 years of age, and there's a sense now, maybe I ain't going to be a world champion. Maybe I ain't going to get to the top of the tree. So now it's about moments. What are the biggest moments I can have in my career to define my legacy? And Robbie Lawler's a type of matchup that defines a legacy, especially if you get your arm raised.
And it just seems so fitting to do this on International Fight Week. We've had the Hall of Fame induction, obviously, last night, which Robbie was a big part of. International Fight Week, 30-year anniversary. When you actually think of it, you were saying this a little earlier on in the week when we were discussing the development of the UFC over the tenure of one man's fight career. That development over that 30-year period has just been incredible to where we're stood right now at the UFC Apex.
Yeah, inside an Apex, which is a, so many 1,000 square feet facility. Next door, you've got the UFC headquarters with the PI. When Robbie Lawler joined this organisation 22 years ago, it was Dana, his assistant, a lawyer, and 2 or 3 other people in a one office somewhere, porter cabin basically, in Las Vegas. That's when Robbie Lawler joined this organisation, when it was basically nothing. And over the 2 decades he's been involved in this sport and this promotion, it's become the biggest driver in sports pay-per-view markets, and that's phenomenal that he's had the longevity to stick around for that entire period. And that's why he's embracing this week. That's why he's enjoyed the media this week, and he'll enjoy the ceremonial weigh-ins later, and he'll certainly enjoy the fight on Saturday, because when he started, we were talking about a couple of 100 duels fighting no holds barred without a rule set, pretty much in a rickety old cage. Now this is $1 billion industry.
It is a question for you, right? Without Robbie Lawler, do we get Justin Gaethje?
No, you know what? Probably not. Probably not, because Robbie is that fighter that's inspired, you're right, that entire generation. Justin Gaethje is probably approaches the fight a little bit more calculated, but then you see Robbie Lawler and you see the adulation and the success of Robbie Lawler, and you're someone like Justin Gaethje goes, you know what, I've got the wrestling, but actually I'm just going to stand and bang just like Robbie Lawler did.
Of which leads us nicely to a fight that we're getting next time out, when Justin Gaethje himself takes on Dustin Poirier, which is all set for an absolute firecracker. I think it's actually quite cruel to put it as a 25-minute knock. 15-minute sprint's enough. That's too much violence, isn't it?
Dustin versus Justin. It's a weird, because it's got the BMF belt attached to it, and I don't think we need that. I'll be totally honest.
No,
I think
these
most
guys
are not BMF personalities. They're not the Nate Diaz, the Jorge Masvidal.
I think it's a homage to the way they fight, isn't it?
Exactly. It's more a reflection of what they do inside the octagon, and what they do is they deliver, they throw down, they create highlight reel moments in each and every fight. There's no backward step from either of them. They're both completely and utterly well-rounded. We saw that last time out with Gaethje. Yes, he's a human highlight reel. Yes, he's never in a bad fight. But he's also one of the best guys on the planet. We thought in London it was going to be a change in the guard. Rafael Fiziev is one of these new generation of lightweights coming through. Is he too technical? Has he just got a little bit too much skill set in the area that Justin likes to fight, i.e. with the kickboxing, with the hands? And will he get found out? And he just run through him. And it was Gaethje who came on strong in the 3rd round. That was lighting up Rafael Fiziev at the 1 art that he's established that. That just shows you how technical his level is as well. So, listen, him versus Dustin, how can that not deliver? Absolutely phenomenal fight.
How long we got? Coming up to 20 minutes remaining to weigh in, and we're waiting on one fighter. We're waiting on Jalen.
Do we know, is he in the building? He's in the building, kids.
Look at that. That was a very Elvis-esque. I know we're in Las Vegas, but you went full Elvis then. He's in the building. Right, okay. Well, Jalen Turner, that's all we're waiting for. Robbie Lawler's just come through, which was great to see. That's why we're talking about him. But a little earlier on, the first 4 fighters that came through at the weigh-in were all those that were involved in the championship fights that you're getting at UFC 290. We're going to go there and give you a little bit of a preview on that right now. Alexander Volkanovski taking on Yair Rodriguez. We've been lucky enough to be around these fighters throughout the whole course of the week. Just before we do, if you're wondering where the other one is, he's gone to go and work for the Americans. That's right. He works for so many different channels as Mr. Bisping. He's cleared off. He's done one, hasn't he? So that's why you've only got us two for the final 20 minutes of the show. Main event time. Volkanovski this week. There is an energy. Anybody that's ever been around Alexander Volkanovski knows full well. There's a certain energy that he's giving off. Everybody's loving the activity that he's churning out because he's fully appreciative that he's in his athletic prime. But there's also a calmness about Yair Rodriguez.
Yep.
Yesterday I was watching him at the press conference to see how we approached it. He said, listen, I'm happy to be here. He shook his hand and there's a lot of respect. But when you're around Yair Rodriguez in his camp, there's a self-assuredness of them that they know full well that they might get a good hiding for a long period of time in this fight.
Mm-hmm.
But the creativity that he possesses is the key to unlock that undisputed championship.
Potentially, yeah, absolutely. And that's what makes it such a fascinating fight. I don't think anybody's expecting Yair to get in there and just completely maul Alexander Volkanovski, because that would just be no one's expecting that whatsoever. What we're expecting is Volkanovski to dominate the fight, but Yair to be absolutely live for every single moment, because he's got magic in his feet, in his hands, in his creativity. He can unlock it at any single moment, and that's what makes the fight so entertaining. But let me ask you, what if he comes out? What if he takes Volkanovski down? What if he does something completely that we're not necessarily expecting, puts Volkanovski onto the back foot? We've seen his strike, and he's definitely got the ability. He's got the height advantage, of course, as well. So listen, what I like about Rodriguez in this fight, and we talked then about Ilia Topuria, and Topuria being the next guy in this weight division. This incredible unbeaten run. He's looked phenomenal. That was Yair Rodriguez a few years ago. Mm-hmm. And Yair Rodriguez took a couple of lumps. He lost to 2 former champions. But I think it's kind of been the making of Yair Rodriguez to lose to Max Holloway, to lose to Frankie Edgar, because it sends you back to the drawing board, put your feet back on the ground. You don't feel untouchable. You do know that you do have areas of your game that you have to clear up. And that's the difference between where he's at right now and where Ilia Topuria is right now. And I think that gives him extra confidence going into the octagon, because he's had holes in his game, and he's cleaned them up in time for this fight, his big opportunity against Volkanovski.
That Max Holloway defeat has taught him an awful amount.
Correct.
I know that we've only had 2 fights since Max Holloway, but it was evident early doors against Brian Ortega. He looked so sharp, he looked very, very nice. Yeah. And you can see there, just on his face, just the excitement of now getting the opportunity to realise that, not only in front of his own fans, because there's a lot of Mexican fans in Las Vegas, let me tell you, it's absolutely pumping, but also just across the world. Yeah, he got to certain levels and he fell short, and maybe there was some performances in there where you're thinking, is he all that? The Max Holloway defeat, he was great, even in defeat. We're talking about Max Holloway here, who's an absolute beast.
Yeah.
But it's evident that he's learnt so much from that. Early doors in the Ortega fight, I know that Ortega pops his shoulder and it ends a little bit weird, that fight, but you could see the guy is absolutely rising in the levels. And the way that he dismantled Josh Emmett, who was on an absolute tear, was phenomenal. This is as big as it gets, because we're not just talking about the best in the division, are we? We're talking about the pound for pound number 1 fighter on the planet, who is at his peak.
Yes.
He's not on a slide. He is as good as it gets right now in the whole of fight sports.
Yeah, in his own weight division. And that's what pound for pound is. You're judging fighters on the body
even
of work,
out of his
on
weight
the
division, he's still good.
Across the board. Yeah, even when he moved up to 155, he came that close against Islam Makhachev. So, of course, that's why Volk is up there. That's why he's at the top of the tree. But that's what Rodriguez is shooting for. And this was something else I was alluding to on the preview show, is that heavy is the crown. You know, when you're at the top of this game, the pressure comes with it. And look at Kamaru Usman.
Do you think he feels that? I don't think
it doesn't matter whether he feels it, because Kamaru Usman never felt it. When we were in Salt Lake City last year, Kamaru Usman wasn't feeling that. He was the welterweight champion of the world. He was the pound-for-pound king, and he was going to dispose of Leon Edwards, who he's done before. And for 4.5 rounds, he looked like he was about to do it. And then this sport has a habit of throwing up magical moments that turn it 180 degrees. That's what Leon Edwards done. We saw it with Alex Pereira coming in against Israel Adesanya, another fighter that at the time we were saying, not only is he the best in his weight division, he's potentially the best pound for pound. We've seen it in the women's divisions with Amanda Nunes, Valentina Shevchenko. This sport, there's so many ways to lose that it's really difficult to stay at the top, especially when you're not handpicking opponents. You're facing the very best challenger every single time. And Yair brings something explosive.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those fights that you're not going to be able to take your eyes off. It might look one-sided at certain parts of this fight, but the longer it goes, you've got to give Yair a chance, because he's proven it before in the zombie fight. He was getting his backside whooped in there, and then all of a sudden he created something out of nowhere.
Created the move we've never seen before.
With 1 second remaining, and got one of the greatest knockouts, and that was on the. Coincidentally, actually, that was on the 25th anniversary show, wasn't it? And we're in the 30th anniversary year now.
Hey.
Maybe he likes these anniversaries, Yair Rodriguez. Who knows? That's your main event, which we're looking forward to, the featherweight title fight. Volk here again, defending at 145, with the interim champion, Yair Rodriguez, taking him on. Underneath that, the flyweights are going to be going at it, and this matchup is fascinating, mainly because Alexandre Pantoja has already beaten the champion, Brandon Moreno, on 2 separate occasions, submitted him in the Ultimate Fighter a few years.
Which was an exhibition, but still.
Is there an exhibition in fighting? Is there? Really?
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, maybe there are, maybe there aren't. But then, obviously, they step into the octagon. And there are caveats to this, I suppose, because when he did step in, we were talking about this on the preview show, that it was a last-minute replacement.
Yes.
Moreno was training for Ray Borg. And then obviously things happened in Ray Borg's family, so therefore he couldn't compete that day, and Pantoja stepped in.
Yes.
And he did, as Mike would say, he dished out a mollywhopping, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, yeah. He was phenomenal at that, and obviously it led to Moreno leaving the UFC. That's how convincing a defeat it was. And don't get me wrong, that time away from the UFC and then coming back in and going on the run he has to become champion, of course, it probably defined Moreno. And he's had more successful runs since then than Pantoja has. But you can't take that away from the title challenger here tomorrow night. He's beaten him on the feet, give him a good hiding, and he's also choked him out on the ground as well. And that is significant, regardless of whether it was a different fighter, it was so many years ago, you came in at late notice, it wasn't fair, this and that. All the things that Moreno's holding on to, and he will, because you always hold on to the fact, well, come on, came in late notice, well, it was only the Ultimate Fighter. But you can just see it in the eyes of Pantoja there. I know Moreno's always got a smile on his face. It's just who he is. He's a fun guy to be around.
Yeah.
He loves these moments. But Pantoja there, and when he was standing next to us just a few moments
Serious
ago,
dude.
is all business. All business.
I think he was a little bit vexed as well yesterday, because obviously the crowd reaction, we know full well that it was very pro-Mexico, wasn't it? And you can see there with the tail of the tape, listen, they're near enough identical when it comes to the submissions and knockouts, the way they go about finishing. These two are finishing machines, especially in these lower weight categories. There's not much really height difference. Yeah. Reach is with Brandon Moreno, and he's got to use that. He's got to use that to his advantage, that extra 3 inches. But the experience of big title fights, the big moments, these big times that we're going to experience tomorrow night, is with Brandon Moreno. He's done it and got the T-shirt.
It is, and obviously that will be an advantage in his mind.
Yeah.
But for Pantoja, he'll be like, well, I'm coming to get what you've got. You're used to it now. You're used to the big occasions. You're used to these big fights with Figueiredo. You're used to being main events, defending your world title belt. This is new to me, and I want it more than you do. It's difficult to stay at the top of the mountain at some point. The sport is so competitive that staying there for so long is so taxing. And we've heard this from many fighters, even the greats like George St. Pierre and people like that. It's hard to stay focused when the next guy, the next girl come up the hill is the very best opponent possible. But that's what makes MMA so entertaining and so much fun.
It's going to be fascinating to see. I kind of know what Pantoja's going to do, right?
He's going to run right at him and punch him in the face.
It's just going to be so interesting to see how Brandon approaches this fight? Does he meet fire with fire like he has done on previous occasions against Figgy, when we thought to ourselves, how's he going to? We've had a lot of these conversations about Brandon Moreno over the last 2 years or so, how he's going to approach certain fights, and every single time he's kind of surprised us. Nobody saw him submitting Davison Figueiredo, did they, in that second fight? Nobody saw that coming. After they went back and forth in that crazy draw first time around, nobody saw that. How does he approach it? Does he get on the back foot? Does he jab and move? Or does he meet fire with fire?
I think he's got to meet fire with fire, because Pantoja is the type of challenger that you can't give him an inch. You give him an inch, he'll take a mile. You let him get on the front foot, you let him start landing shots early doors. You've got to get his respect and say, hey, I'm the champion round here, kid. This is my octagon, it's not yours. I'm the champ. And I think for that reason, he's got to meet fire with fire. He's got to try and get Pantoja's respect. He's got to make Pantoja go on to the back foot. Now, whether that means shooting for an early takedown, fighting for a submission, really feeling his way into the fight, or just be getting his timing right, because Pantoja's going to come at him. So does Moreno stay on the back foot and try and land a sweet counter and then move forward on that? Or does he just, as you say, did he just run at each other? Obviously, we're hoping for the latter. Run at each other, boys.
As you look down this card, and you can even go into the prelims if you want, we spent a lot of time with a lot of athletes this week, and they're all super impressive people. But as you look down that, who's taking your breath away a little bit, whether it be through media day or just being around them and having a couple of moments with him?
Yeah, listen, obviously Jack, we've just had Jack Della Maddalena. Everybody knows what kind of a talent he is, the kind of run of form that he's on. He's an outstanding prospect, in this sport, and it's only a matter of time until he gets a much bigger fight. It's a shame the Sean Brady fight is off. Sean Brady got a bit of staph on his elbow, unfortunately, so wasn't medically cleared to fight, hence the replacement opponent. But that's absolutely a fight that must be made, ideally for Sydney, because Brady's a ranked opponent, and that's where Della Maddalena needs to go. He needs that push forward now. But, we've just seen it there, and I spoke about it when the girls weighed in, but the Gomez fight with, I can't say a second, Yasmin and Gomez, let's go with that, because I don't want to butcher anybody's name. Those two girls are super talented, a 23-year-old, a 24-year-old, one from Brazil, one from Mexico, loads of knockouts on their records as well. This is a massive opportunity for them to feature on a massive card, International Fight Week, but really go, listen, kind of like Aaron Branchfield did last year. I'm a star of this division, and I'm going to be a world champion one day.
So you've impressed me, and it's every time I speak to him, and it's only been over the last 6 months. Bo Nickal, there's just something about...
You did say prelims, but yeah, go on.
Well, I said you could use the prelims as well if you wanted to. I just thought that every time I'm around him...
It's all business.
Yeah, but I can't really fully explain it, and I suppose that's the thing that I'm trying to get at. There's an it, whatever that it is, that X factor. That kid's got it, hasn't he? He's got a little bit of something. And he's been on the show a little earlier on, and I'm sure you can wind back and have a little bit of a nosy in on it. You'll see for yourself when he talks about MMA, when he talks about the different disciplines. There's an assuredness there already. He knows full well that if you're going to wrestle me, you're going to get your backside whooped. But I'm learning other disciplines and getting my game up to it. But there's also a bit of fun about him. He's got a bit of personality, and he's right. Sometimes we have conversations all the time about getting on the microphone and making it count on the microphone. But there's also worth in just being yourself.
And tearing people apart. That's the most important thing.
Of course.
It's all good and well being in your shell and being all professional and everything else. But if you're getting in there and you're, going to points decisions every single time, you become a forgettable fighter. Yeah. He doesn't necessarily need to do it on a microphone, because so far he's at in every single fight he's smashed the guy to bits in the opening round. Yeah. And that assurance, that self-assuredness that he's got is based on the fact that he's an Olympic caliber wrestler. But look at the guy. He's a complete and utter specimen as well. Yeah. So you can tell he loves this sport. You can tell he loves MMA, and you can tell just chatting to him how excited he is about developing the skills to try and catch up with the wrestling game. But we say this all the time. What is the best base for this sport? The best base for this sport is wrestling, and he's got it.
Well, here we go. We know he's had a tough night. Fingers crossed everything is healthy here for Jalen Turner. He's in one hell of a fight tomorrow evening against Dan Hooker. And we're hoping that he's going to hit 156 pounds here.
Yeah, he's been a long time to make the weight. Is obviously just such a big dude. 6'3" lightweight. Incredible. 155. I think you'd have to take my legs off to make 155. The shoulders on him.
Just
he looks concerned. Yeah, there's definitely some concern there. Oh, he's missed it. 158. That's 2 pounds over. He's got to make 156. That's disappointing for Jalen. As Mike was saying earlier, you know he's had a horrific last few hours, and to get here and to miss it by 2 pounds, that's not something you can go away and continue to do. I don't think he'll go away and try and continue to make weight. I think they will now negotiate and see if they can get Dan Hooker to take that fight with Jalen at 158, but he will lose 20 or 30% of his purse. Disappointing for Jalen because, you know, he's got this momentum in this lightweight division. He's one of the most exciting guys in the most exciting weight class. But maybe he's just his body, his age, 28 years of age, maybe he just can't physically do 155 anymore.
Well, if you think about it logically, the physiology of being 6'3" and trying to drop down to a fight weight of 156 pounds, I mean, honestly, that's incredibly difficult to do.
He's 2 inches taller than me. And on those scales then, he was best part of 70 pounds lighter than me. That is insane. Absolutely insane. So yeah, listen, disappointing for him. He will now go away, speak to his camp. I'm sure Dan Hooker's the type of guy that he ain't gonna turn a fight down. But obviously disappointing for Jalen because does it affect his ranking? What if he does win anyway? Does it push him closer to a title shot because he hasn't made lightweight?
How does Dan Hooker approach it? Knowing Dan
Hooker, man, he'll be like, yeah, Sam, whatever, let's go.
Oh yeah, I know that.
He's taking the fight, isn't he?
Yeah, I know that, but you would think
put the pace on him.
Put the pace on.
Put the pace on him. The guy's just had a horrific time making weight. Clearly, he will no doubt replenish himself now. Then all the medics and everything, they'll see to him, make sure he's fine. I'm sure he will be. But if you're Dan Hooker, you're right, okay. Let's see. Let's get that gas tank, which has obviously been strained over the last few hours. Let's burn that out quickly tomorrow.
Right then, pick me a fight. None that isn't a title fight. Not a title fight. Which one do you want?
Mate, can it be anything other than Robbie Lawler? The Last Dance. We had Nico Price here just a few moments ago. He is giddy as a schoolboy.
Yeah.
He can't wait. We know Nico is going to fly at him. It kind of reminds me when Brian Stan fought Wanderlei Silva, and Brian Stan was like, I'm just going to run out and punch him in the face because that's what Wanderlei loves to do. I'm going to deliver what he wants for the fans. And Nico Price, he's like, I ain't going to try and take down Robbie Lawler. We're going to stand in the middle. I'm going to duke it out. Someone's going to get carried out. I love that. It's exactly what we wanted for Robbie Lawler in his last fight. It's going to be fun.
Do you believe in MMA fairy tales?
No, I don't. But who knows? Listen, after 20 years service, if anyone deserves a big finish, come on. Ruthless Robbie Lawler.
I think the only guarantee in that fight is that you know that neither men are going to change their tactics.
Yeah.
They've fought the same way all their career, and that is what will be delivered. And you're right, one of them I think is going over. It's going to be an absolute cracker. The other one, I suppose, that is capturing a few people's imaginations, even though a lot of people, when I speak to them, they think that it's one-sided, is of course Robert Whittaker in action against Dricus du Plessis. They look at that fight and they think Robert Whittaker should walk absolutely away with this contest. But I'm fascinated by it. Being around Dricus this week, he's got a real nice energy about him. He's so self-assured. Yeah, he's in his late 20s now, but he's been there, done it, and got the T-shirt on the regional scene, went into Poland.
On 2 other continents.
Cracked it in Europe as well, and now he's over here, and he's taking on good level opponents, and he's a fascinating guy, because you watch him, and you think to yourself, he's out now, and then all of a sudden he's flipped it around, and he's got himself a victory. It's going to be a lot harder to do that against Robert Whittaker, but I'm fascinated to see whether he can.
Yeah, and he's well versed in Las Vegas now. His last few fights have been in Las Vegas. He's comfortable here. You can see he's comfortable around the UFC. Not only does he feel like he belongs, he feels like he's ready for a title opportunity. This is the ultimate final hurdle for anybody in this weight division. There's only one way you get to Izzy, and that's by going through Rob, because Rob is the next guy in line, of course. So it's the perfect fight for him. This is not Darren Till. This is not Brunson. This is the guy. And
this is the guy.
This is the guy. And it's going to be incredibly tough. But let me say this. He's had nose surgery. What if he doesn't gas out? What if he doesn't have that moment, which he always has in fights, where the energy level drops and then he has to wait for the second wind? What if that doesn't happen? What if he fights with fury from the first minute to the last? That would be interesting.
Well, You can watch it all on BT Sport. Make sure you come and get stuck in with us. Let's have a look at that card one more time, shall we? Because the prelims get going from 1 a.m. in the morning, and there is that main card, all on BT Sport 1 HD from 3. Kick it off with Bo Nickal, record breaker that, by the way. He's a minus 2,500 favourite going into the fight with debutant Val Woodburn. Jalen Turner, who missed weight, we'll give you a little bit more information on our social media pages on his situation taking on Dan Hooker. Robert Whittaker, Dricus du Plessis, which we've just been speaking about. It's the number 1 contenders fight in the middleweight division. And then we've got 2 title bangers. Brandon Moreno, Alexandre Pantoja going at it again. Pantoja's 2-0 up. Will it be 3, or will Moreno reverse that result? And then at featherweight, it's Alexander Volkanovski defending his crown against Yair Rodriguez.
Don't blink.
It should be an absolute firecracker. From us here in Las Vegas, thank you very much for coming to join us. Make sure you're across all the social media channels, because at the ceremonials later on, we'll be sticking microphones in people's faces and having a little bit of a chat with everybody. But the main stuff is on BT Sport 1 tomorrow night. Come and join us for the prelims from 1 with that main card from 3 with those 2 big world title fights.
Alexander, the great! The consensus best featherweight of all time, accomplished both. Yair Rodriguez! We have not seen anything like him. He's 1-1. Mexico! Just another competitive battle between these 2 flyweights. That fight's gonna be ridiculous. This is as good as it gets in the sport. I cannot wait to get to Vegas to watch these 2 fights. 2 undisputed UFC titles on the line. This is international fight week. The energy is off the charts, and this card is absolutely amazing.